We are live. Five, four, three, two, one. This is not another boring podcast. Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope. Mustafa Al Jazari through the police body cams. Now we have the individuals that are in this case that the police department is using as witnesses. They're Amy Hodgkins, aka online, she likes to tell people her name is Christine Alkuzai on TikTok. And every day we're going to come here and we're going to identify what this police department is doing and how they're using individuals on their body cam are telling the investigators, we were not there. We didn't see anything. These are not witnesses. It's all hearsay. The police department is using individuals like Amy Hodgkins, aka on TikTok, she says her name is Christine Alkuzai, Glenn Ford, Kylie Clapp, and Nene, aka Kim Coleman. These individuals, we have their police body cams. We're leaking them on the internet. The county has sealed these body cams, terrified that we're going to find out that this police department is using individuals to manufacture probable cause. And every day we're going to come here and we're going to identify these individuals. This is Glenn Ford, the ex-boyfriend of Dorothy, who on a body cam paints Mustafa as abusive to Dorothy, his girlfriend, abusive to the kids, and then says on the body cam, I didn't see anything. Now we're going to take a deep dive into this individual. This is Kylie Clapp, Dorothy's 16-year-old daughter at the time. Today she's 18 years old. On a forensic interview, on a body cam, she paints Mustafa as abusive to Dorothy, abusive to the kids, and tells you, I didn't see anything. Now that's hearsay. And the county is terrified that we're leaking these body cams on the internet and we're having a conversation. And our favorite witness is Amy Hodgkins, who on the internet for the past 2 years has been trolling the conversation. On TikTok, her name is Christine Alkuzai, and she goes by Christine Warda 7. She tells you this is what she looks like. I don't have to tell you that this is a cartoon character, a heavily filtered cartoon character. You don't have to take my word for it. This is a cartoon character. She never turns on her camera. But TikTok is unique because one day, when you come close, even if you don't turn on your camera on TikTok, if you come close enough, you'll see who's behind the screen. And this came up. So, this is what Amy Hodgkins, aka Christine Alkuzai, looks like. We're identifying these individuals to have a conversation. Now that we're connecting the dots, it's been 2 years. Now that we're connecting the dots, Christine Warda, a.k.a. Christine Alkuzai, a.k.a. Amy Hodgkins, is no longer on the internet. She doesn't go live anymore. As a matter of fact, she went as far as went private. It's been so long. It's been 2 years. Mustafa is held in our county jail on manufacture probable cause. Now, I want to thank everybody that's here on this podcast. I want to thank Stefana, Michelle, Casey, Bustos for being on the group chat. We'll have people join us later, whether they're on the group chat, whether they're on the podcast. Today, we're going to focus on a dash camera. Mustafa has a dash camera in his vehicle. The county is terrified that there is a dash camera, that the dash camera is leaked out on the internet. It's been 2 years. The prosecutor screams Mustafa is guilty in court, but is terrified from his dash camera that she went to Judge Carol Weimer and sealed it from the community. What are you terrified from, Prosecutor Sarasami? If Mustafa is guilty, release his dash camera and let the community see the dash camera. You're terrified. That we have the dash camera. We released it on the internet. And we see that it's a vehicle accident. We're going to take a deep dive into this dash camera. We're going to watch it. And we're going to expose this prosecutor that's been lying about Mustafa for 2 years. Mustafa is held in solitary confinement on manufactured probable cause. They're using individuals that have not seen anything. They tell the investigators on their own body cam, we were not there, we haven't seen anything. And they paint Mustafa as a monster. I mean, this is hearsay. They're using hearsay to manufacture probable cause and sealed off all the body cams and sealed off the discovery. They even sealed it from Mustafa himself. I've yet to see a case where you can charge somebody and seal off the discovery from them. We're going to take a deep dive into the dash camera. We have the CCTV from the 7-Eleven. Mustafa, 3 minutes before the vehicle accident, pulled into a 7-Eleven. And we have the CCTV from inside 7-Eleven and outside 7-Eleven. We're going to take a deep dive into sealed material by the county. Now, when we talk about police misconduct, I want to remind everybody, we're not talking about every police officer. We're talking about specific police officers that are engaged in police misconduct. Every police report in Mustafa's case is falsified. That doesn't mean every police officer is responsible for those few officers that falsified police reports. And the biggest testimony to what I'm saying is we have a police officer that put sealed material on a flash drive and supplied it to me. Now I'm leaking it on the internet. We have this beautiful podcast to talk about it and connect the dots and show this community that Judge Carol Weimer, who's been presiding over Mustafa's case for the past 2 years, has been impartial. This is no longer what I say. This is no longer what I claim. No, I have sealed material that I'm actively releasing to the community. And we're putting enough pressure on this county to do the right thing. We're demanding, we're not asking justice for Mustafa, justice for Dorothy, his girlfriend, justice for five-year-old Empress. We're demanding justice. And we're gearing up to where we're going to be holding a live podcast in front of the Department of Justice. We filed with the Department of Justice. And we're asking them to investigate this county. And we're going to be putting enough pressure for them to do their job. When the local government fail you, the federal government has to step in. The DOJ, the FBI, they have to step in. And they have to do their job. Now, at this point, we're not asking them, can you go in and see what happened? No. We have the material. We've leaked out the material. And at this point, we're pointing out the police misconduct. We're pointing out the falsified police reports. To the point that we're demanding that they do their job. On that note, what we're going to do, we're going to slow down the conversation. And we're going to take it all the way back 2 days into the vehicle accident when they released it all over the news. And specifically, the news was nothing more than a mouthpiece for a police department that lied about Mustafa. They specifically said that 5-year-old Empress was not buckled. That's not true. Dorothy buckled 5-year-old Empress after Mustafa told her to buckle 5-year-old Empress. But what they've done is they released it on the internet that a Mustafa did not specifically buckle a 5-year-old, and they said that the investigator said Mustafa crashed the vehicle on purpose. That's not what we see on the dash camera. But at the time, they had sealed off the dash camera. I mean, the dash camera is still sealed, by the way. It's just thanks to a police officer who supplied it to us. Now we get to take a deep dive into this dash camera, where we see that Mustafa is the one that gestured, told Dorothy to buckle 5-year-old Empress, and Dorothy is the one that actually buckled 5-year-old Empress. In the beginning, they trolled the conversation. That Mustafa, I mean, think about what's happening here. It's a Mustafa and it's a white girl. It's a Dorothy. And they're insinuating that this Mustafa is so evil that he specifically did not want to buckle 5-year-old Empress. Only to crash the vehicle. And they said, an investigator said. Now, they're putting a lot of weight behind what they say on the news. They're saying a badge and a uniform is saying that this is intentional. Wait a minute, this is 2 days into this vehicle accident? And you seal off the dash camera? And we're supposed to just run with your narrative. It's been 2 years. And now we have the material that shows the whole entire thing is a vehicle accident. And instead, they falsified every police report. On that note, let's take a deep dive into what they said on the news 2 years ago.
A devastating crash we first told you about last week. You might remember this one here. A devastating crash we first told you about last week. You might remember this one here. Police say a woman and a 5-year-old girl died in Prince William County after the car they were in crossed into oncoming traffic. All new tonight, police have charged the driver. They believe he crashed on purpose. Our Katie Lusso spoke to the little girl's father.
My baby girl. She's my baby girl.
Divine Fontaine, speaking with us over the phone tonight, says he still can't believe his little girl, 5-year-old Empress Fontaine, is gone.
I'm totally lost. I'm just lost right now.
Last Wednesday, Empress and her
Wait
mother,
until you
Dorothy
hear.
Fontaine, were killed in a crash on Dumfries Road at the intersection of Fortuna.
Wait until you hear what they've done to that father. Mustafa is not the father. Mustafa met Dorothy 3 months ago and took care of the kids like their own, like they're his own. Now, this is the father of 5-year-old Empress. We have body cams where their father was not allowed possession of the rest of the kids, was pushed away from the decision. 5-year-old Empress was not helicoptered to the hospital. There is neglect on the paramedics, on the police department, that they failed to airlift a 5-year-old baby. The helicopter is there. And they failed to airlift 5-year-old Empress and Dorothy. And instead, we have body cam where they let them sit in an ambulance truck. And then, after letting them sit in an ambulance truck, they put 5-year-old Empress during rush hour over an hour away from the scene to the hospital, in Nova Fairfax Hospital. Why would you put 5-year-old Empress in an ambulance where you're going through rush hour over an hour away from the scene when the helicopter is right there? Is Divine Jones, the father, aware of the neglect on behalf of the paramedic, on behalf of the police department? It gets worse. That father is not allowed to be part of the decision when they made the decision to unplug 5-year-old Empress. What am I talking about? The physician that operated on 5-year-old Empress, in the notes, in the house, we have the medical notes. He said 5-year-old Empress is stable. Right after he called the organ transplant and had her organ match, he made the decision to unplug 5-year-old Empress. By law, it is illegal to have the same operating physician make the decision to unplug a patient. She's stable. It's not up to you to make that decision to unplug her. It's their father's decision. Why was he pushed away? I have the police body cam where the police department actively pushed the father away and not let him involve in the decision of his 5-year-old baby. 5-year-old Empress was alive and was stabled. Why was her organ harvested? So not only you failed to airlift 5-year-old baby, you take it as far as not involve the father to be part of the decision to unplug 5-year-old Empress. But you have no problem putting him on the news and having him cry over his 5-year-old baby. But you do not want to involve him in the decision making of unplugging his baby and not tell him that we failed to airlift 5-year-old Empress. Now, there is a police body cam. There's a DC police officer that, in the discovery, we have his statements. He was the first police officer that arrived on scene. And in the document, it says that DC office, his police body cam is recording when he interacted with 5-year-old Empress, when he interacted with Dorothy. He was the first police officer that was on scene, and when he interacted with Mustafa. Now, my question is, when we open the discovery, why is that body cam not in the discovery? They specifically and purposely removed that body cam out of the file. It's not in Mustafa's discovery. But you can bet that we're going to get that body cam. We're going to release a document. There it says there was a DC police officer on the scene, and he was the first one that made contact. When you open the discovery, nowhere in the discovery that you see Dorothy or Empress. All the body cam in there are after the fact. What are they purposely attempting to hide here? Does it show neglect on the paramedic side? Does it show neglect on the police department? Does it show that this police department purposely neglected to leave 5-year-old Empress and Dorothy in the ambulance truck on scene? Just left him there. What kind of outcome are you attempting to get to? Fatalities? Is that what you wanted? I mean, we have investigators that already deemed 5-year-old Empress and Dorothy deceased on the scene. And they were still alive. But they're all telling each other, yep, they're deceased. We have those body cams for Investigator Drum, Investigator Chad Mason, Police Officer Casey Fines. Let's continue listening to the news.
The Plaza. Friday night, police arrested Mustafa Nofel Al-Jazari. Divine Fontaine said he was Dorothy's boyfriend. Investigators say Al-Jazari...
First of all, Divine Fontaine is not Dorothy's boyfriend. Divine Fontaine is the ex-husband of Dorothy Fontaine. And we have police officers that identified Mustafa and Dorothy and 5-year-old Empress and the rest of the kids within minutes of them arriving on the scene. But in the notes, in the medical notes, they have 5-year-old Empress marked as John Doe. Wait a minute. Dorothy and her ex-husband are in a custody battle. They're separated. CPS is involved. Divine Jones and Dorothy. CPS is involved. And you have a police officer that identify Mustafa, Dorothy, and the kids. Why is 5-year-old Empress listed as a John Doe in the medical notes? When all over the police body cams, you know who everybody is. Now we're reaching a conclusion that it has to do with the organ transplant and unplugging 5-year-old Empress. The same physician that operated on 5-year-old Empress and said she's in stable condition is unplugging her after he makes a phone call to the organ transplant. Now we know Inova Fairfax Hospital is the biggest hospital for organ transplant. You have to take my word for it. Look it up yourself. Does this have anything to do with pushing that father away? I mean, this is a body cam. This is a body cam where Casey Fines identifies Mustafa, Dorothy, and the kids within minutes of police arriving on scene. And the question is, why is she listed as a John Doe?
Get him out of here. Yeah? You don't remember his name?
Mustafa is his name.
Mustafa.
I called Duplessis. I got his name,
I called Duplessis,
mom's name, and kid's name.
Officer Duplessis,
That's the bill.
and I got mom's name, Mustafa's name, and I got the kids. So Officer Duplessis with patrol, he called Officer Duplessis with patrol, and he's got Mustafa, Dorothy, and the kids. What are you doing watching Mustafa? Does this community know that the police department were actively watching Mustafa? Now the question is why? Why are they watching Mustafa? I'll tell you why. Does this community know that Mustafa had an active lawsuit against the police for violating his rights? Mustafa was in an active lawsuit from 2018 all the way to the day of the vehicle accident. And we all know when you're in an active lawsuit against the police, they're going to harass you. Mustafa was harassed every other day. And we have so many recordings of police actively harass Mustafa. Now, when we asked Mustafa's lawyer at the time that was representing Mustafa, this is what they're doing to Mustafa. They falsified his police report. They beat him inside the jail. The lawyer says, I have no doubt that they're doing this to your brother. And they beat your brother because you sued the police. Now, it's one thing when I say it. It's another thing when you hear it from the lawyer himself. Thomas Plofchan was representing Mustafa at the time. This is what the lawyer says. And he was representing Mustafa against Thomas McMillan. Thomas McMillan, Rachel Adams, is a lawyer that was representing the police in this lawsuit. Now, would this surprise you to think and to know that Rachel Adams is now representing the jail against Mustafa in his civil lawsuit against him? Mustafa was beaten up inside the jail, was sexually assaulted, and denied medical. The same lawyer is now representing the jail. This is what Mustafa's lawyer at the time said when we're telling him, what is Mustafa going through?
The investigator that wrote the report, he lied on the report. We recorded that conversation.
I'm sure he did.
Yes, sir.
Frankly, I'm sure they all know that you sued the Stafford cops. And they beat your brother up because they know that you sued the Stafford cops.
Yes, sir.
No.
The investigator that...
It's one thing when you hear me say it, that they're falsifying my brother's police report, that they beat my brother because he sued the police. It's another when you hear the lawyer himself is saying it. Now, this is the jail video. In our effort to bring justice to Mustafa, bring justice to Dorothy and 5-year-old Empress, and talk about the falsified material, correctional officers, 6 giant correctional officers, enter my brother's cell beat him, and then sexually assault him, and then deny him medical. This is the video from inside the jail.
He was in 32 at the time, right across from me.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Prince William Manassas jail. To accept this call, press
The six
0.
giant correctional
To refuse
officers
this call, hang up
enter
or press
Mustafa's cell,
1. To prevent calls from this, your current balance
take out
is
an unconscious,
$2.40.
handcuffed Mustafa behind his back,
This call is from a correction facility.
and they're still hitting him on the head
Monitoring
and kicking him.
recording. Thank you for using
At the time,
Link.
they said this did not exist. Mustafa, thank you for joining the podcast. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa from Prince William County Adult Detention Center from solitary confinement. Hello, hello, hello.
Well, hello. Good evening, folks.
Mustafa, we have Stefana, Michelle, Bustos, Tracy, everybody. We're on a live podcast, and we're at a portion where we're talking about what they've done to you inside our county jail. I have a video up where correctional officer enter your cell, and they take you out unconscious, handcuffed behind your back, and one of them is still hitting you on the head and kicking you, drag you airlifted, and from one cell into another cell, and then take you into another cell, and then strip you completely naked. Here you're half naked. They take you somewhere else, another cell, and strip you completely naked, only to beat you, abuse you, and deny you medical. Now, we have you're in litigation with the jail. You're in federal court, and you wrote a 20-page motion from inside the jail to continue your lawsuit. This is a 20-page handwritten motion to continue Mustafa's case. Mustafa is a paralegal, so he hand wrote a 20-page motion to continue his lawsuit with Judge Hilton in federal court to the discovery phase. We have these videos from the CCTV jail. We're going to get more videos. Mustafa, thank you for being here. How was your day?
It's my pleasure to be here. My day's just patiently waiting, counting up the moments until tomorrow, until the next day. But my day's okay. Just another day of I'm blessed. So
Mustafa.
I appreciate everybody being here for me.
Mustafa, I love you.
And
You know, we're all patients that they worked so hard to seal. And we have them. We've leaked out a portion of them. We're actively leaking out the rest of them. We have an opportunity to have a conversation about the falsified police report that you have in the discovery. Apparently, not only did they falsify your statement on the police report with investigator Drum, every police report in your discovery is falsified. And the only way you can verify this is when you see the police body cam. And every day, we're here and we're going to talk about it.
yeah, and it's a miracle and it's a lot of work to actually have anything come out, because even if you could be dreaming, no matter what you do, there's no way a footage like this is going to enter the public domain. This is what you see. This is a glimpse of what you guys see, where they're dragging me out and handcuffs me on my back. When I was inside the cell, my face was down. I was getting stomped on until I blacked out. They stomped me out. They beat the shit out of me. I mean, when I say, like, attempted to murder me, I'm talking about they hit me indiscriminately in places where I'm thinking, like, you can hit somebody in the skull and you can fracture my spine. You can just kill me right there. And they were hitting me so hard that I blacked out multiple times. So, and when they claim that we all fell on the floor, there's no way. No way. Look at their pants. They're wearing
Mustafa.
khaki pants.
Exactly.
They're not
Their
wet
pants is not
whatsoever.
wet. Your pants is not wet. And
It doesn't take rocket science or Sherlock Holmes to actually discover that. Just use your basic knowledge, use your observation, and see what the hell's going on. And the person, Richard Brooks, was right across the pod. So
I have his
he could see
picture.
everything
I have
about
his picture
myself.
pulled up. Richard Brooks is a witness, and what you hear on this recording is a witness statement, and we have the affidavit of what Richard Brooks witnessed that day.
And
Miss-
when they took me downstairs,
Yeah.
they continued beating me.
Yeah.
Continued beating me. Face down, handcuffs on, stop. They kept on punching me. I blacked out so many times. I'm like, oh my God. What the hell? I keep coming back. And I woke up butt naked in a bloodbath. If we're talking about, I mean, there was a puddle of blood, and I was loaded with blood. And I'm looking at the nurse. She looks at me and turns away. And at that moment, I knew I was pretty much like beyond scared, like it was really a frightening situation. But who do we blame for me to be in this situation? The individuals that made false statements. The individuals that made false statements such as Glenn Ford, Kyla Clapp, Amy Hodgson, Drum and his wife, Chad Mason, Romero, all these investigators with Casey Fines. You have individuals such as the prosecutor who's allowing this. So you have people aiding and abetting in authority. They're allowing these little culprits to do what they want. So it's a conspiracy and a collaboration of many different characters. Once you identify everyone, and once you piece all the pieces to the puzzle together, you're going to say, why is Mustafa Al-Jazari still in jail this long? I've been in jail for 2 years, and I'm still alive, and I'm breathing just fine.
Well,
And I'm coming out, and I'm going to tell my story.
Well, Mustafa, I'll tell you, you're in jail for 2 years is because the police department sealed off all the body cams, sealed off the discoveries. They sealed it off from the community, and they sealed it off from you. And now that we've opened the file, we see that every police report is falsified, and you have individuals that are identified as witnesses, like Amy Hodgkins, Glenn Ford, Kylie Clapp, Kim Coleman, that say to the police, they say that you're abusive to Dorothy, you're abusive to the kids, and then they say to the police, we never saw anything. This is manufactured probable cause. This is hearsay. And for the police department to do this and think just because they sealed everything off, no one's going to find out, and then to weaponize the kids against you. They went and created an environment for the kids where they told the kids that you've done it on purpose. Coach the kids. One of the kids, Dorothy's kid, 14-year-old child, says, I trusted Mustafa. Mom always told me to trust Mustafa. But the investigator told me that Mustafa ran away. He left my 5-year-old baby sister in the car, and if he hadn't run away, my 5-year-old baby would have still been alive today. What are you doing lying to the kids? The police and the paramedic helicoptered Mustafa to the hospital. Mustafa was in a coma. Mustafa was released from the hospital from the police. We have the body cams. Why would you lie to the kids? To weaponize them against Mustafa? We have the Google Nest inside the apartment that show the kids love you. Dorothy love you. It was a beautiful relationship. Only when the police got involved. And they had Glenn Ford, Nene, Amy Hodgkins, and Kylie coach these kids. Temper with the kids. With the police. I mean, 14-year-old Dorothy's child, Javen, in a forensic interview, that's what he says. He says, the police told me that Mustafa did it on purpose. He ran away and left my 5-year-old baby sister. But when you listen to that child beat himself up and say, Mom always told me to trust Mustafa. I always trusted Mustafa. It gives you insight to what this child and how he felt about you. Only when they got involved, and then they put them in a forensic interview, record them, and weaponize these kids. I mean, these are kids that just lost their mother. What are you doing weaponizing them against Mustafa? The only person that they needed and they trusted in their most vulnerable time. They just lost their mother. Kids that are 9, 10, and 14. I mean, is that not child abuse? And now they're coming after me, and they're attempting to silence me. I've got Amy Ashworth sending me to be in Prince William County. I've got Elaine Jarvis, who was representing you. Now for a couple of dollars, they bought her out. Now she's doing the bidding of Prince William County. She has a civil lawsuit filed after attempted to silence me from talking about the material. I've got it on the 26th. So instead of addressing the content of the police misconduct, you're going after the brother who's talking and asking you for accountability. So not only you falsify my brother police report, but you're attempting to falsify to silence the brother who's talking about his brother falsified police report. And they're so senile, they don't think the community is watching. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? I've got exhibit that's going to destroy Elaine Jarvis and her career in courts. I mean, this lady is so senile that she thinks that she can do what Prince William County failed to do. I've got exhibits that I'm going to play out. I have a whole entire day on the 26th in Warren County. I've got exhibit that's going to show that I got this material from an outside source, from a police officer, and that she knew about it. What is she doing telling the judge that I took material from her? Does she think that these recording does not exist? Judge Funk is going to hear it. On a video, I'm sitting down with her, and I'm telling her, Elaine, she's asking me, and I'm telling her, Elaine, I have a police officer that gave me my brother's discovery. What? There's a video? They thought this material is not going to come out. And now she wants to say, on the day that she fired me, I went into her office, unbeknownst to her, took the... Lady, you're on a video acknowledging that I'm telling you, a police officer gave me the material. What are you doing? You think you're going to lie to the judge? You think you're going to lie to the community? Do you not realize that I got trained as a paralegal? I know how to write a motion. I put in a motion, and I filed the exhibits. And I've got other exhibits. Wait until I release the other exhibits in court. I'm going to destroy this lady's career. I'm going to hold her accountable for attempting to step on my brother and my family. Well, she's going to think twice before she does this again. I promise you she's not going to be a lawyer again. I promise you. By law, I'm going to hold her accountable. I mean, when I first met her, she says, I'm a writer. But writing doesn't make money. So I decided to go into law. I can write for a living and make money. Is this what this is about? Money? For a couple of Benjamin, you sold out the person that you believe is innocent. I mean, you went on the internet and you said Mustafa's innocent. I've looked into his case. And now for a couple of dollars, you sold out your clients. And now you're doing the betting of, 2 years ago, Mustafa, I remember Casey Stephen. Let me play an audio clip that everybody that's been following this case have come familiar with. 2 years ago, Casey Stephen took my money, over $55,000, only to find out that he's working with the investigator. And when I told this lawyer that I'm going to come out and expose this county, this is what he tells me.
If any of that is posted anywhere on the
If any of that is posted on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies that you have, they need to be destroyed.
Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation.
If they get disclosed, that's going to put him in a bad position. If you disclose that information, all of it has to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it, it's going to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems. I mean, what is Elaine Jarvis saying today? I mean, when I met Elaine Jarvis, I was protesting my brother's falsified information. Here comes Elaine and says, I've been watching you for over 3 months, your social media. I want to be there for your brother. Where is she? Is she there for my brother? I mean, she's filing a lawsuit to silence me from fighting for my brother, which I was already fighting for my brother. And she's aware that I had the material. And I've got a video where I'm telling her, Elaine, a police officer supplied me with material. My brother's criminal case, I have them. She says, did you get them from an outside source, a police? I'm like, ma'am, I have them from a police officer. Now she wants to say, I mean, if I didn't think any better, this is a desperate attempt by the county to bring in a lawyer to pretend that she's representing Mustafa, only to say that I took the material from her that I already have. Well, I promise you, ma'am, I promise you, you're not going to win. We have our day in courts, and I'm going to destroy your career in courts. This is a desperate attempt by the county, Prince William County, to come after the brother who's talking about his brother falsified police reports. Mustafa, I love you, man. I went on a tangent. I love you, man.
You already know, man. What's understood doesn't have to be explained. A lot of people here, they're not dumb, and the general public is smart enough to figure this shit out. Okay? This is not another boring podcast, but I just gotta go in a little bit. What time is it?
It is 11:04.
All right, at 11:10, remind me so I can call real quick. But I just want to tell the general public it was nice talking to you from the hole. But I'm sitting in the hole, and this is solitary confinement, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in a small confined cell, and no recreation. I'm talking about total torture, as in I'm a prisoner of war.
Mustafa, solitary confinement. Solitary confinement is supposed to be 23-hour lockdown, 1 hour rec, right?
24/7.
Okay. When was the last time you had rec? When was the last time they took you out to rec?
I'm telling you right now, I don't have any problems with my memory, but at this point, I don't remember. It's been so long. It's been several months.
It's been that long that you haven't had rec? What's the reason?
I've not had rec.
What's the reason? What did they say?
The reason? Okay. Let me tell you something about their reasoning. Remember, when they say a reason, they're masking the true motive behind the title. The door for the rec door is broken.
The rec door is broken. It's been broken for several months?
Several.
Is it over 3 months, over 6 months? What are we talking about here?
Let me see. So if we're in February, October, it's been well over 4 months.
You're talking about, okay, over 4 months, and they have not fixed the door for the rec. So you're telling me solitary confined inmates who's supposed to get rec, and the reason they're giving you for over 4 months is the door is broken. Well, where's Sheriff Glenn Hill? I thought Sheriff Glenn Hill, I love how when you talk to Sheriff Glenn Hill, he has the most beautiful personality, and he plays his role really good. We've got a black sheriff who's a Republican. There we go. That's it. That's all we need. That's good enough. Sir, you've got 7 deaths in your jail within the past five years. You've got inmates that are getting beaten up. 2 years ago, you told me that my brother, nothing happened to him. Today I have the CCTV where they're carrying him unconscious from one cell into another cell. And you're telling me that your jail has been over 4 months. They don't give solitary confined inmates in D-pods rec because the door is closed. What are you doing with all that money that you have, sir? I mean, we know it's a private jail, and there's a lot of money that comes into the county because it's a private jail.
I'm not eligible for any programs because the reason is that I'm on maximum security. I've been on maximum security since I've been here, so 2 years. They titled me as a murderer, so I'm not eligible for any programs. I'm in total confinement, 24 hours, 7 days a week, no recreation, nothing. I'm not allowed to talk to anybody.
I mean, Mustafa, they didn't open the cover on your window for 2 years. Mustafa, huh?
For a whole year straight.
For a whole year straight, Mustafa's window is covered. The minute the CCTV video got released with that giant black cover on his window, all of a sudden they removed the cover off Mustafa's window. Because now, the question is, why do you have a covered window on this inmate for over a year? That's a disturbing idea.
And not only that, don't forget, sleep deprivation. They will put crazy people around me. They're like screaming in the vent, and I'm talking about crazy demonic screaming. Like these individuals need mental health therapy or something. And the light is on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, shining bright in your eyeballs. So for after a year, you start to notice that, you know, your eyesight deteriorates and you start to have blurred vision. After they're stomping, they're punching, they're beating and all that choking, you wake up and you have a correctional officer choking you out. I'm like, what the hell is this? So it gets to a point where I'm still in the lion's den. I'm still in their cage. But I know there's oversight, and I know...
This is
they
Mustafa
can't
still.
really just-
This is Mustafa still. And you're telling me for over a year, 24-hour lockdown, no rec, and you have his window covered. This is the window. They put a black tarp on Mustafa's cell. Now, when we used to tell people, when we were protesting in front of the jail, and we tell everybody that my brother's window is covered, people have a hard time imagining what are we talking about. But now the CCTV came out. All of a sudden, the jail is in a position where they had to remove the cover. And that's how Mustafa's cover got removed. And now, Sheriff, you're telling me that your door is broken for over 4 months? That's why inmates are not getting a rec? D-Pod?
That's really
they're-
lousy. That's a lousy excuse.
You know, I'll tell you, all that money that comes into our private jail. Mustafa, it is 11:10. I'm gonna, Fatima, you want to give the phone to Mom? I'm gonna give the
Tell everyone
phone.
Say good night.
Yeah.
I just want to tell Julia specifically, I love you so much that she actually put money on my commissary. You know, thank you so much for that. And everybody else, Casey, Stefana, Michelle, Bustos, I don't know the rest, but Julia,
Michelle,
everyone.
Tracy, Casey,
Tracy,
Farrah.
I always say Casey. Farrah, oh, my favorite. I just want to say thank you so much for supporting me during my difficult times, and I promise you it doesn't go unnoticed. I'm going to hang up now. I love you all. Good night. And for all the criminals, the individuals that made false statements about me, you're going to go to jail very, very soon. And I'm coming home, whether anyone likes it or not. Check out the facts. I'm going to hang up now.
Mustafa, I love you.
It was nice.
I love you, man. I love you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. We're gonna continue this podcast. I'm gonna give the phone to mom. I love you, man. You take care of yourself, and we're taking care of everything on the outside. Everybody is finding out about what they're doing, and there is nothing they can do to silence. Everything is already out. What are you gonna do?
Every time they attempt,
What are you gonna do?
they attempt,
What are you gonna do? Come after me? The community is watching.
nice try.
Nice try, Mustafa. I love you, man. Okay.
Take care.
Now, the criminals that we have that lied about Mustafa, that we have their body cam, and we're taking a deep dive into Glenn Ford, who fabricated probable cause. This guy's a pedophile, by the way. We have a recording of this guy that he wakes up to a 16-year-old in his bed, forces a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old to shower. The audio is floating around. Audio. The audio is floating around on the internet. You can find it on our page. In his own word, he admits to a private investigator that he's a pedophile. This is Kylie Clapp, who lied about Mustafa, who in her own words says, I didn't see anything, and she's painting Mustafa as a monster. Apparently, she solicited to kill Mustafa. We have an audio of Glenn Ford admitting that she came up to him and solicited to kill Mustafa. Can we kill him and make it look like an accident? Apparently, she's connected to someone that hates Mustafa, and there's a motive. Of course, we can't forget Nene Kim Coleman, who in her own words says, I didn't see anything, and she's painting Mustafa as a monster. And of course, we can't forget Amy Hopkins, who we have her here as Ursula. We've identified on TikTok. You can find her under Christine Warda. She tells people this is what she looks like. This is a cartoon character. A heavily filtered cartoon character. I mean, I've seen people filter their face. I mean, for the love of God, can someone really explain that one to me? I mean, I can see people use a filter their face. But to filter a cartoon is already a cartoon. Choose another cartoon. Why do you have to filter a cartoon? I can't process that one in my head. And I have to tell you, that's not who she is. One day, she came out on TikTok, and that's accidentally when she came close to the screen. TikTok is unique. Even if you don't turn on your camera, she popped up. She never turned on her camera, by the way. We have her body cam where she's lying about Mustafa, saying Mustafa is abusive to Dorothy, abusive to the kids. I don't know Dorothy. I don't know Mustafa. I didn't see anything. What? How are you a witness? And the common denominator between Amy Hopkins, Glenn Ford, Kylie Clapp, and Nene is they all know each other. They collaborated a story that Mustafa's on the run. And Mustafa is abusive to Dorothy. Mustafa is abusive to the kids. As a matter of fact, the kids were in their possession. And they told the kids that Mustafa abused your mother. Mustafa killed your mother. And then you have the police is feed them information. And then Jaden, 14-year-old Jaden says, the police told me that Mustafa did this on purpose, that he ran away. What? Why would you lie to a 14-year-old child who just lost his mother? You have Glenn Ford. Glenn Ford was at the hospital. So Mustafa's not allowed at the hospital. The father of 5-year-old Empress is not allowed at the hospital. But Glenn Ford is allowed. And then he takes a picture of 5-year-old Empress and he goes to a 10-year-old, Dorothy's 10-year-old child, imagine, and he shows him the picture. Why? What are you doing? You're 40 years old and you're taking a picture of his 5-year-old baby and show it to 10-year-old Imagine to enforce the idea. Look at what Mustafa have done. He wants to ingrail it in his head that Mustafa did this to your sister. Mustafa killed your mother. I mean, this guy is on on Facebook, the official page for Prince William County. When Prince William County Police Department reported on the case, they put the accident on their page. They have an official page, Prince William County. This guy is all over the page saying 3 things. Mustafa is on the run. Mustafa abused Dorothy. Mustafa abused the kids. And he did it on purpose. I have snapshots of what he said. The kids are in his possession. You want to tell me they didn't coach the kids? Only to put them in a forensic interview? Weaponizing the kids against him? And then it gets worse because now the kids are talking about the police are telling them lies. And then when you hear Glenn Ford on the internet, he's on the internet. You can find him. If you type Glenn Ford on the TikTok, You'll see him on the internet every day. He says, so what if I lied? What do you mean? He's like, I could have said anything. They're using you as a witness. What do you mean, so what if you lied? You've created that he wants to downplay his role. Downplay his role in the case of Mustafa Al-Jazari. So you want to tell me the police department, who already hates Mustafa because he filed a lawsuit against him, who was already harassing Mustafa, is now taking advantage of a vehicle accident. They seal off the dash camera. The dash camera shows a vehicle accident. The computer inside the vehicle shows a vehicle accident. The investigator on site say this is a vehicle accident. We have their body cam. When they're investigating the scene, they say that Mustafa did everything he can to avoid an accident. All these are his brake marks. All these are his skid marks. He cleared all the vehicle, made it to the other side only for the vehicle to turn into him. So you're telling me you're charging Mustafa with double counts of murder, but you have investigators on the scene that says Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident? You have the dash camera that shows this is a vehicle accident? Oh, you want to take advantage of the vehicle accident, so you allow Glenn Ford to lie about Mustafa, manufacture a probable cause. You allow Amy Hodgkins to lie about Mustafa. Well, I'll tell you, I've been protesting for over just about 2 years for my brother. That I've coined the term, I was barefooted in front of the jail, that I coined the term a barefooted monkey fighting for his brother. Here we have a monkey. And here we have Amy Hodgkins, the so-called witness into the case, who knows everything, but haven't seen anything. Tells the investigator, I haven't seen anything. What? And the police department allows these people to lie about Mustafa. Here we have Amy Hodgkins. We have that barefooted monkey. And from one monkey to another monkey, join me on a podcast. I've got monkey number 1. I've got monkey number 2. I've got monkey number 3. I've got monkey number 4. And from one barefooted monkey to another bunch of monkeys, join me on a podcast. And we're going to materialize this podcast in front of the DOJ. And let me paint the scene for you. The DOJ building, the Department of Justice building is right here. You have the FBI building right next to it. Literally right next to it. Right here in front of the DOJ, there are active guards for the Department of Justice. And we put our table right next to it. There's a sidewalk. You can't tell me that you fear for your safety to be there. There are active guards for the Department of Justice there. And instead of trolling the conversation on the internet, and you hide Amy Hodgkins, you hide behind Christine Warda, Christine Alcazai, come out there. Have a seat. And let's have a conversation. And I promise you, I'm going to make you viral. You want to be famous? You want to be famous, right? You're on the internet every day, and you want to be famous. I promise you, by the end of it, I'm going to make you the most famous person in our county. Glenn Ford. And instead of hiding behind a keyboard, come out. Come out and have a seat with me. Let's have a conversation. I've never turned this conversation personal. I could. Here I have your body cam lying about my brother. But it's not personal. And it shouldn't be personal. You said certain things on a body cam, allowing the police to manufacture a probable cause. And now, we have your body cams. I have every right to question you. If you had any bit of balls, and instead of hiding behind the keyboard, come out and have a seat with me. We're going to have a conversation where we're not going to allow it to be personal. I know you like to turn it personal. I know you have an anger issue. I've heard you on the live a couple of times say that you had 2 people coming up on my vehicle and you were going to do physical harm. Well, if you had any balls, come out, brother. Come out. And let's not be keyboard warriors here. Hide behind a computer. Come out and have a conversation. I'm asking you. I've never turned the conversation personal. Am I angry? Of course I am. You've lied about my brother. My brother has been sitting in solitary confinement for 2 years because you manufacture probable cause. You lied to the kids in their most vulnerable time. And in return, the Commonwealth Attorney wiped out your criminal history clean. You have no idea what I am being supplied with. You have no idea. This county does not know yet, is realizing what files I have on my brother, on you, on other individuals in the county. Files that have nothing to do with my brother. We're only getting started. I've never turned the conversation personal, and I refuse to turn it personal. I'm asking you questions about what you said on a body cam when you come out on the live, and we want to get to the bottom as a community to what is going on. Are you going to be held accountable? Of course you are. You've caused torque. Mustafa, because of your lies, lying to the police is a crime. The minute Mustafa comes out, you're going to end up in jail. You have the federal government looking into you. The county promised you, and I have the other body cam where they promised you certain things. Did you not think they were recording these conversations? They were comfortable because they thought they were going to be sealed. You were comfortable because you thought it was going to be sealed. Well, unfortunately, it's not sealed anymore. And we're attempting to have a conversation. Instead of you hiding behind the computer, come out. Have a seat with me. Let's talk. I just want to talk. Let's have a conversation. Now, we're going to take a deep dive into... look at them. They can get along here. Why can't they get along in real life and have a civil conversation? As soon as we start identifying that this is Glenn Ford, this is Kylie, this is Amy Hodgkins. Amy Hodgkins went private. She was on the internet every single day, running her mouth. If I didn't think any better, I'm advertising people. I'm asking people, go to her live on TikTok under Christine Ward 7 and listen to what she says. You would think she would be happy that someone is sending people her way. I'm literally advertising her TikTok channel. I don't get it. I thought she's under the premise of fighting for Dorothy and Empress. Isn't that what she tells everybody? I've yet to hear her talk about Dorothy and Empress. She wants to talk about Mustafa's brother, Mustafa's sister, Mustafa's mother, all the way down to my 4-year-old niece, and she's posting my 4-year-old niece picture all over the internet. I don't get it. How could you be advocating for Dorothy and Empress if you're attacking a 40-year-old? My 4-year-old is being attacked on the internet. Everybody here that fights for Mustafa, they wake up to their kids being posted on the internet. They have the wife of the investigator actively on the internet. Stephanie Claiborne under Kate 0707. And she's using Prince William County resources. And she will find out who you are. and will find pictures of your kids to post all over the internet under a troll account. I mean, I don't get it. Are you fighting for Dorothy and Empress? How could you be fighting for Dorothy and Empress when you're attacking everybody's kids? I'm asking you to come out and have a conversation. She's no longer on the internet, by the way. She went private. I mean, I don't get it. For someone to send people your way, wouldn't you think she would be happy? Tell them what you think about this case. And instead, she goes private. Because one, she can't show you any receipts. She's simply trolling the conversation. The minute you ask her questions, she's going to start threatening you, block you, or threaten you, or wake up to a reality where your kids is all over the internet. So she's happy with trolling the conversation. But the minute that you say, ma'am, I have your body cam, you're on a body cam with the police, your name is Amy Hodgkins, you're using the identity of Christine Alcuzai on the internet, TikTok, Christine Ward the 7, she goes private. She's no longer vocal about the conversation. On that note, let's take a deep dive into the dash camera. And the prosecutor is terrified because what they've done, they sealed off this dash camera. And it's for a prosecutor that says Mustafa is guilty. Wouldn't you think the first thing she'd do is release the dash camera out to the community? Instead, she's hiding it. You're hiding the dash camera. It's been 2 years, and what she's done is she cut this dash camera into 5 seconds, put out a deformed version of a dash camera, and release it out to the community. Why not release the whole dash camera? You're terrified that the community is going to see this is a vehicle accident, and you've been lying about Mustafa. On that note, what we're going to do, we're going to take a deep dive into the dash camera. And we have the CCTV from the 7-Eleven, inside 7-Eleven and outside 7-Eleven, where Mustafa pulls into the 7-Eleven 3 minutes before, 3 minutes after 7-Eleven, they get into a vehicle accident. On that note, what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off this phone because I'm going to be using it for the dash camera. So Tracy, Stefana, I'll see you guys on YouTube. And let's take a deep dive into the dash camera. Stefana, Tracy, I love you, ma'am. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Let's take a break. I want to go talk to my brother really quick before he leaves. And when we come back, we're going to take a deep dive into the dash camera.
That is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed. Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems. You can't do it. That's what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to withdraw from the case. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So make sure everybody's aware of that. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed. Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you disclose that information in any way, You can't do it. That's what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it. That's what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it. That's what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it. That's what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it. That's what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you disclose that information in any way, all of it You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to withdraw from the case. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So make sure everybody's aware of that. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed. Okay. Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems. You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to withdraw from the case. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So make sure everybody's aware of that. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed. Okay. Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems. You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to withdraw from the case. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So make sure everybody's aware of that. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed. Okay. Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems. You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to withdraw from the case. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So make sure everybody's aware of that. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed. Okay. Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems. You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to withdraw from the case. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So make sure everybody's aware of that. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed. Okay. Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you disclose that information in any way, all of
We are back. We are here.
Dylan, you cannot do it. I will have to withdraw from the case.
We are back. We are here. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cams. Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope. Now I know a lot of people are upset at me right now. I left everybody with Amy Hodgkins. I left everybody with Casey Stevens. So I can understand being upset at me. Now that we have addressed this giant elephant in the room, this giant elephant in the room that we're going to have multiple seats for in front of DOJ. Each seat costs $10, so I'm going to have like 4 seats for Amy Hodgkins. I'm going to get it done. There is enough space on that sidewalk to have 4 seats for Amy Hodgkins and enough seats for Glenn Ford, Kylie Clapp, Kim Coleman to be there. So we can have a conversation. I want to remind everybody that Mustafa's legal fund is literally a cash app. You can cash app Mustafa Legal Fund. Mustafa needs a lawyer, and we're actively asking the community to donate to Mustafa's legal fund. On that note, let's take a deep dive into the dash camera that's sealed off by the county. Terrified that there is a dash camera. Let's continue listening to the news and what the news said about Mustafa 2 years ago, thinking that this is never going to get out to the community. There we go. And we have everybody on a group chat. We have Stefana, our beautiful, beautiful paralegal. God help you when you find out that Stefana is a paralegal. She's tracking this case from a paralegal point of view. And she sees that nothing makes sense. Stefana, thank you for being here, ma'am. We're going to be waiting for everybody. Everybody's going to be joining in. I want to thank everybody that's here. I want to thank everybody that's on the group chat. And let's take a deep dive into what the news said 2 years ago.
After an argument with Fontaine, investigators say the two were not wearing seatbelts and Empress was also not properly restrained.
I couldn't believe it. I just
Listen to what they just said.
This sounds sick.
That there's an argument inside the vehicle. That the investigators say that there's an argument inside the vehicle. That Mustafa was arguing with Dorothy. That 5-year-old Empress was not restrained. Well, that's interesting. Because we have a dash camera that shows Mustafa telling Dorothy to restrain the baby, and Dorothy is restrained the baby. Oh, they sealed off the body cam. That's how they thought they can get away with it. Oh, there's an argument inside the vehicle? Oh, we can get away with charging Mustafa with manslaughter. Where are the rules to manslaughter? There has to be negligence on the driver's side. Mustafa's blood toxicology shows no alcohol, no drugs. So you can't charge him for manslaughter because his blood is clean. No alcohol and no drugs. How are we going to charge Mustafa with manslaughter? Is he reckless? Wait a minute. There's a dash camera that shows he's not reckless. The speed limit is 55. Mustafa is driving 55. Oh, we can't charge Mustafa with being reckless. How are we going to charge Mustafa with manslaughter? We're going to falsify his statements that he made to Investigator Drum. Investigator Drum did not turn his body cam on when he had a conversation with Mustafa. And what he put on his police report is that Mustafa told him I was arguing with Dorothy inside the car. That I was angry at Dorothy inside the car. There we go. Falsify his statement and charge him with manslaughter. But on the scene, they're saying this is a vehicle accident. that he did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. This is Investigator Drum on the scene talking to Chad Mason that Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. Chad Mason got on the stand and said there are no skid marks and Mustafa did nothing to avoid a vehicle accident. And the prosecutor says Mustafa never hit the brake. What? The computer inside the vehicle shows Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time. The dash camera shows that everybody went forward. If you look at that dash camera, you see, if you look at Empress, 5-year-old Empress, you see her weight shifts forward twice. Mustafa hits the brake, but there's brake failure. The police mechanic inspected the vehicle and found out there's brake failure. We have that body cam. The investigator on scene is saying that Mustafa avoided all the vehicles. These are all his skid marks, and he cleared all the vehicle all the way to the other side. And the SUV turned into him. Now, the SUV driver is a PLS patient. She has low motor function in her legs and her arm. She's heavily medicated. And the computer inside her vehicle showed that she never hit the brake. As a matter of fact, she was going 70 miles an hour. Why is that not in the police report? Why is that not part of the conversation? Let's watch the body cam.
Neither is mom's right shotgun.
Awesome, but at least the kid was. Kid was buckled.
Kid was buckled. What is the news telling us? Let's listen to the news.
Arrested Mustafa Nofel Al-Jazari. Divine Fontaine said he was Dorothy's boyfriend. Investigators say Al-Jazari intentionally drove into oncoming traffic, causing the crash
Intentionally.
after an argument with
After an
Fontaine.
argument.
Investigators say the two were not wearing seatbelts.
They were not wearing
Others were also
seatbelts.
not properly restrained.
5-year-old Empress was not properly restrained. What did he just say? That 5-year-old Empress is buckled?
So driver's not buckled. Neither is mom's right shotgun.
Awesome, but at least the kid was.
Kid was buckled.
Kid was
I
buckled.
guess she was half ejected. Because that whole side's 3 bars. She
2 years ago, they trolled the conversation. As a matter of fact, Amy Hodgkins on TikTok under Christine Alcuzai and is trolling the conversation, but she can no longer troll the conversation because I'm actively asking people, go to her, and she's going to tell you, 5-year-old Empress is not buckled. Well, ma'am, show us the receipt. She's going to block you. She's going to get the wife of investigator that falsified the police report under case 0707 to look you up, use Prince William County resources, look you up, and then post your kids on the internet. I have 10 people that have their kids posted on the internet, including my 40-year-old niece.
was buckled.
And the question is, today they're not charging Mustafa with manslaughter. They're not charging Mustafa with manslaughter. Originally, they charged Mustafa with manslaughter. But after providing the police department with evidence that this investigator falsified Mustafa's police report, 5 days after Internal Affairs, First Sergeant Sean Shelton, we have a recording of that conversation, where he tells us, I called the Commonwealth attorney, and I notified her of the falsified police report. 5 days later, after that phone call conversation, she drops the manslaughter and upgrades it to murder, retaliating against us providing evidence that her police officer falsified the police report. So you're telling me Mustafa is charged with murder. The investigator here, you'll hear them say that Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. Wait a minute, he's not wearing a seatbelt? So you're telling me he's out to commit this murder and crash his vehicle on purpose? He's not wearing a seatbelt? I mean, if I was out committing a murder, if I was crashing a vehicle on purpose, wouldn't you think I would wear a seatbelt? Wait a minute. Wouldn't you think I would remove this dash camera? I mean, Mustafa, if we're talking about Mustafa wrote a 20-page filed a 20-page lawsuit to continue his lawsuit into federal court. This is the Mustafa that we're talking about. We're talking about a competent Mustafa, a Mustafa that's filing 20 pages to continue his lawsuit into federal court. You want to tell me that that Mustafa, it's either he's competent or incompetent. It's either he's crazy or he's not crazy. You can't say, we're talking about who in their right mind would not wear a seatbelt if they were crashing the vehicle on purpose. Who would leave a dash camera inside their vehicle if they were crashing the vehicle on purpose? The kid is riding. So obviously we're not talking about a crazy person here. We're talking about a competent person. This kid was contracted with me on base under my company. This is Mustafa's contractor ID. I've got, it's on hold now, but when I got back from overseas, I started a roadside assistant company for the Marines on base. And every time they get stuck, I have giant trucks that has a generator, a compressor, and every tool you can think of, where I put them on site, on base, and put that Marine back on the road. And I had Mustafa contracted with me. Mustafa had his own company. He sells physical therapy equipment. And every now and then, I drag him into my company. I have him help me out. I loved having my brothers around me. So I got my brother contracted, Mustafa. I got my other brother, Muhammad, contracted. I got my little baby sister contracted, Maha. And I hired 4 Marines into my company. These are military police Marines on their day off. And instead of sitting in the barracks, getting drunk and doing nothing, I'm taking them in. On their day off, I would train them. And I have them turn around and serve their fellow Marine. This is my company. Quantico Roadside Assistant, Quantico Mobile Mechanic. Beautiful company. Got me over whatever PTSD I have. I'm serving Marines. I love doing what I'm doing. And half the time, I'm zeroing out the balance for the Marines that get stuck on base. My Marines know what I've done for them. My watch commanders love what I'm doing for them. So if we're talking about that Mustafa, how could that Mustafa, if you're charging him with murder, wouldn't you think he would put on his seatbelt before he crashed the vehicle? Wouldn't you think he would remove the dash camera? It's bullshit. And then we have the dash camera that shows the whole entire thing is a vehicle accident. You know, I'll tell you one of my favorite comments under the dash camera. And you know, we have a lot of trolls. And one of them says, how did he end up in oncoming traffic? Why did he go into oncoming traffic? When you watch the dash, have you not watched the dash camera? Where do you want him to go? He takes a lane, thinking it's a regular lane. He's trying to bypass the vehicle in front of him. And then when he realized it wasn't an actual lane, there's a vehicle to his right blocking him from getting back into traffic. There's a medium, a sidewalk in front of him, that going 55 miles an hour, if you were just to drive into that medium, the car is going to flip over. You've got 2 seconds to react. The only place that you can go is you cut an opening and you go all the way to the other side. And that's what he did. He avoided every vehicle, cleared the other side. The SUV turned into him. You don't have to take my word for it. This is what the investigator on the scene are saying. Before they realize it's a Mustafa, this guy is in an active lawsuit, and they took advantage of the vehicle accident. It's no longer a vehicle accident. Listen to what the investigator on scene are saying.
Looks like I'll be coming in. So driver's not buckled. Neither is mom driving shotgun.
Awesome, but at least the kid was.
Kid was buckled.
Kid was buckled.
Just half ejected. Because that whole side's food bar. She was buckled.
Yeah.
Looks like I'll be coming in tomorrow. So you see your marks now, Drum?
Well, the AOI is somewhere around here. That comes all the way back to about right here.
marks end right around in here. So
Figure that away. So I mean, those are definitely theirs. AOI somewhere. It doesn't come off on here.
so you think that's the free tire? Is
I
that
think so because it comes here and rotates.
What's causing the infinity mark right here, buddy?
spun once? Because that's all the drag marks from the front right. That's all fucked up there.
It's greasy.
Did you have skid from him? Yeah, so that's all him. He spun twice.
That's all him. That's all his
The
kid
damage
marks.
on the right, which caused him to flip that way.
But on scene, Chad Mason gets on scene and says there are no skid marks. That Mustafa never hit the brake. His foot, the computer show his foot is on the brake the whole entire time. As a matter of fact, the dash camera show that when you look at Empress in the back, you see that her whole body shifts forward, indicating that Mustafa was hitting the brake. That Mustafa's weight was shifting forward, hitting the brake. The vehicle had some brake, but it didn't have complete brake. And we'll watch the body cam where the investigator, the police mechanic, admit that the vehicle had mechanical failure.
So,
And then it finally broke off with soup.
so that's her.
They're coming in sideways. Gets popped, rotates.
She just rolls backwards.
So here's the question: which way did they? Because she comes straight, she hits.
She would have turned into it.
She would have turned into him. The only way you would have this vehicle accident is that Mustafa cleared all the vehicle. And you'll see that on the dash camera, that he cleared all the vehicles. And here he says, the investigator, he says, she turned into him. But 2 years ago, they put this on the news.
Investigators say the two were not wearing seatbelts, and Empress was also not properly restrained.
Couldn't believe it. I kept telling myself this is some sick trick.
I mean, what are they doing here?
He described his relationship.
What are they doing here? They're painting a Mustafa. You have a Mustafa and you have Dorothy, which is a white girl. And they're telling the community that this Mustafa is a monster. They specifically did not buckle 5-year-old Empress and crashed the vehicle on purpose. And they add weight behind it, saying an investigator said that he crashed it on purpose. An investigator said that 5-year-old Empress was not buckled. And then what did they do? On their official page, on Prince William County, when they reported on the accident, Prince William County Police Department has an official Facebook page. They put our home address on it. I've never seen a case where you actively put the home address on the internet. What were they expecting? That this community, they were going to rally this community to come here? To our home? Cause harm to this family? They painted a monster, and here's his address. And you have Glenn Ford using Glenn Ford as a witness, paint Mustafa a monster, coach the kids, and use Kylie, use Kim Coleman, Amy Hodgkins, to manufacture this probable cause for you, who in every body cam they tell you, we were not there. We never saw anything. I mean, we all watched a body cam where the police, the same investigators, are saying this is a vehicle accident. Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. He cleared all the vehicle, and the SUV turned into him. Now, only after Casey Fines shows up on scene, identifies Mustafa, identify his girlfriend. Now it's no longer a vehicle accident. Oh, this is the guy that's suing us.
You don't remember his name?
Mustafa is his name.
Mustafa.
His name,
I called Duplessis. I called Officer Duplessis.
his name, and kid's name.
That's been watching Mustafa with patrol. Oh, he sued us. This is the guy. They identify Mustafa, they identify his girlfriend, and they identify the kids. They've been watching Mustafa. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. Why are they watching Mustafa? They're watching Mustafa because there's an active lawsuit. You don't have to hear it from me. You can hear it from the lawyer that was representing Mustafa at the time. Why are they doing this to Mustafa? They falsified his police report. They've beat him, and this is what the lawyer says.
The investigator that wrote the report, he lied on the report. We recorded that conversation.
I'm sure he did.
Yes, sir.
Frankly, I'm sure they all know that you sued the Stafford cops. And they beat your brother up because they know that you sued the Stafford cops.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure they did, and they beat your brother.
Huge news.
I'm sure they falsified your brother's police report, and they beat him because you sued them. I mean, this is what the investigator gets on the scene, the same one that identified Mustafa, the same one that called in to Officer Duplessis with patrol, that's watching Mustafa, is labeling this, is labeling Mustafa. Knowing him is probably drug related. Why? Because he sued you? Because he has an active lawsuit, and you hate him for walking around, Mustafa walking around telling you, in this country, I've got rights. That I'm going to sue you for violating my rights. Mustafa has an active lawsuit from 2018 to the vehicle accident. And they're actively harassing Mustafa. He labeled Mustafa.
No.
He labeled Mustafa. Knowing him, and he's laughing. Mustafa is in a coma in front of his vehicle. You can see behind him, Mustafa is on the ground. And he goes up to Investigator Drum and tells him, laughing, knowing him, it's probably drug related. I had contact with him when he was not driving. Where's the police report? You can't just throw a label and think you're going to get away with it. These are sealed body cams, by the way. So when they're actively doing this, they know no one's going to see it. Mustafa's blood is no alcohol, no drugs. So what are you doing going around labeling him as a drug user? Mustafa has no criminal history. Mustafa has perfect driving records. What are you doing? Getting on scene while he's in a coma, laying in front of his vehicle, labeling him, laughing, saying knowing him, it's probably drug related?
We'll figure out where the bodies are going in a minute. Witnesses, anybody see what happened?
We'll figure out where the bodies are going. They're already determining that Dorothy is dead. 5-year-old Empress is dead. No, they're not. They're still alive. As a matter of fact, you see the ambulance and truck in the background. Why are they letting them stay there? Why are they not transporting them to the hospital? They're just letting them sit, labeling them. They're already dead. No, they're not. When you look at the medical record, they were still alive. Why did you not helicopter 5-year-old Empress and Dorothy? You helicoptered Mustafa. The hospital records showed that Mustafa lost consciousness for 30 minutes. The off-duty paramedic says Mustafa is in a concussion. He doesn't know where he's at. He thinks it's 2022 and Obama's the president. Now, you helicoptered Mustafa. Why did you not helicopter Dorothy, a 5-year-old? Why did you not helicopter Empress? Why did you not helicopter 5-year-old Empress or Dorothy? Instead, you just let them sit in an ambulance truck, and then you send 5-year-old Empress over an hour away from the scene to Fairfax Inova Hospital. This is in Dumfries. Inova Fairfax Hospital is over an hour away. During rush hour? Who made that call? Where is the body cam of the DC police officer who showed up on scene, who in the discovery says his camera is working, is recording, that interacted with Dorothy, interacted with 5-year-old Empress, interacted with Mustafa. That camera is mysteriously not in the discovery. It's not in the discovery. They removed it. What are you attempting to hide here? Was Dorothy hugging on Mustafa? Was Mustafa hugging on Dorothy? Does it show neglect on the paramedic for not airlifting 5-year-old Empress and Dorothy? Why is it not there? You charge him with murder, right? That's the most crucial piece of evidence, is the police body cam of the DC officer who was on scene, one of the first police officers that interacted with Dorothy and Empress. Why is no one asking questions? You have Amy Hodgkins, who sits on a live every day pretending to be fighting for Dorothy and Empress. My name is Christina Kuzai. I have her body cam identifying herself as Amy Hodgkins. Why is she not asking this question? But instead, you pretend to be a witness, you lie about Mustafa, and now your name is Al-Kuzai on the internet? Under Christine Warda on TikTok? I'm fighting for Dorothy and Empress. No, you're not. No, you're not. If you were, you would be asking for that body cam. If you were, you would be asking, why were they not helicoptered? Why was 5-year-old Empress not helicoptered? I've yet to hear you ask that question. Why is Dorothy not helicoptered? Why is the same physician, the operating physician, who says Dorothy is stable, contacts the transplant organ, gets an okay, next thing you know, he's unplugging 5-year-old Empress when her father is right there. You have his information. We just heard Officer Casey Fine identify Mustafa, Dorothy, and Empress. Why is Dorothy, 5-year-old Empress, why is 5-year-old Empress listed as a John Doe? Why is there a police body cam where they're refusing to allow that father, Divine Jones, to be part and be at the hospital? They tell him, sir, you have a protective order against your ex-wife. But the protective order is not on the kids. Why was that father pushed away? Instead, you let Glenn Ford be at the hospital? The jealous ex-boyfriend who on body cam hates the guts of Dorothy, used to abuse her, used to beat up the kids, is actively on a recorded line saying, I'm in the showers, I'm not looking at the kids, I'm forcing them to shower. You're forcing a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old. We have a recording, a very disturbing recording, where he admitted to a private investigator that he slept with Dorothy's 16-year-old child. At the time she was 16, Kylie Clapp. Today she's 18. And he forces kids to shower. That guy is allowed to be in the hospital, and he actively takes a picture of 5-year-old Empress in her condition, and he shows it to Imagine. I've got that forensic interview where Imagine is telling the police department, the forensic lady with the police department, what Glenn Ford did. A 40-year-old man is showing a picture of his sister head cut open. Why? I know why. We're all coming to the same conclusion when we're watching the body cams, that these kids were left in your position, and you're actively lying to them. You lied to the kids. You told them Mustafa did it on purpose. I mean, we have your Facebook notes, comments. The night of the accident, you got on Facebook on their Prince William County official page when they reported on the accident. And you said, Mustafa's on the run. Mustafa, they're on purpose. Mustafa abused Dorothy. Mustafa abused the kids. That's what you're telling the kids. You're on the internet saying it, and the kids are left in your possession. And you're showing them a picture of their 5-year-old baby. And then the next day, we have another body cam where Glenn Ford takes a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old to the local 7-Eleven and out and about, buys him a bunch of drinks and buys him a bunch of snacks, and he's showing these kids to the rest of the neighborhood after he told them that Mustafa killed your mom on purpose. He wants the kids to tell his story, his narrative to the rest of the neighborhood. So you have kids that love Mustafa, that trusted Mustafa. We have the Google Nest inside the apartment, video Google Nest that show they love Mustafa. One of the kids say, I always trusted Mustafa. I loved Mustafa. Mom always told me to trust Mustafa. We have a forensic interview with Jaden that says, I always trusted Mustafa. He's beating himself up. Mom always told me to trust Mustafa, but the investigator told me that Mustafa did this on purpose, ran away, left my 5-year-old baby sister in the car, and if he hadn't run away, she would have still been alive today. So you have the police. You have Lynn Ford. You have Kylie. You have Amy Hodgkins. You have Nene. They're all lying to the kids and telling them that Mustafa was abusive. I mean, this lady, this is Kim Coleman, the neighbor that the kids were left with. She said she went as far and said she's telling kids that just lost their mother. You know what your mother told me? Your mother told me that Mustafa peed on her. That's how abusive he was. What? Then why is the Google Nest inside the apartment show your child spending his spring break over at Mustafa and Dorothy's apartment? Coming up to Mustafa, calling him dad. The night of the accident, slept over until like 5 o'clock in the morning. Before. If this boyfriend is so abusive that you have the girlfriend coming up to you and telling you that he peed on me, why would you leave your child in the apartment? What mother would leave her child, her 9-year-old, her 10-year-old, her 8-year-old, in the apartment of this abusive man? She's actively lying about Mustafa. And now everybody is terrified because the Google Nest are coming out. And it shows that she's lying about Mustafa. I love how my trolls come out and say, well, it's in the discovery. It's in the discovery. The discovery is nothing more than a fancy document, a fancy term, and you have to go through it and determine, is it hearsay? Did the person saying what they're saying witnessed anything? When Kim Coleman tell Investigator Drum that Dorothy came up to her and told her that Mustafa peed on her, this is hearsay. In court, Judge Carol Weimer striked it out of the whole entire thing. He said, this is hearsay. I understand this in the discovery. I understand this is what you're saying, but this is hearsay. And the bigger question is, your child is inside the apartment. If it was true, you wouldn't let your 8-year-old, 9-year-old in that apartment. So you're actively lying about Mustafa. And in return, Kim Coleman, Nene, had a hit and run. The Commonwealth attorney removed her criminal charges. So you're going to lie about Mustafa, say a whole bunch of things, that Mustafa is abusive to Dorothy, Mustafa is abusive to the kids, but you didn't see anything. You're going to lie to the kids who's in your possession. They're in your possession. Kids, 9, 10, and 14, who just lost their mother. You're going to tell them your narrative, and the police are actively feeding you a lie when they're on the scene saying it's a vehicle accident? This is a Google Nest from inside the apartment that show Nene's kids in the apartment with Mustafa and Dorothy's apartment. This is April 3rd. The vehicle accident happened on April 5th. This is April 3rd. We have 3 days worth of video, Google Nest inside the apartment. A camera that's rolling all day. That shows you that that Mustafa loved Dorothy and the kids. The kids and Dorothy loved Mustafa. It was a beautiful relationship. And the question here for all my trolls is, you like to troll the conversation and says, this is the discovery. This is what Nini's saying. My question is, what mother allows her children to be in the apartment? Are you terrified yet? Are you running away yet? Well, your Amy Hodgkins ran away. She's no longer active on the internet. She went into private. And we're asking her to be on a podcast. And she's running away. And we're going to continue to ask Amy Hodgkins, a.k.a. Christine Alcaraz, Christine Warda, to show up and have a conversation. This is Nini's child right there. This is Nini's child right there. And her other child is going to be there too. And they're spending their spring break at Mustafa and Dorothy's apartment. And the question is, if it is true that Dorothy came up to Kim Coleman, Nini the neighbor, and she told her that my boyfriend peed on me, what is your child doing in that apartment? Give me a mother. I've yet to see a mother that would leave her children there after the girlfriend tells her that. And when it's bullshit, it's bullshit. They're actively lying about Mustafa. And now they're terrified that this is coming out. This is Jaden. This is Mustafa. This is Kim Coleman, Nini's child. This is her other child in the back.
Hey, everybody out of my room.
This is Dorothy. And you can tell that Dorothy wears the pants in the relationship. When you watch the Google Nest in the apartment, you can tell that she's very assertive and she wears the pants in the relationship. Now, the Kylie Clapp and Glenn Ford and Nini and Amy Hodgkins, they're saying that Mustafa body slams Dorothy. Well, we have the Google Nest inside the apartment. They weren't betting on there is a Google Nest inside the apartment. That shows that they're lying about Mustafa. And they all say that he body slams her, but we never saw anything. What do you mean? That's hearsay. That's hearsay. Now too, physically, it can't be done. Dorothy is twice the size of Mustafa. How could Mustafa body slam Dorothy? Physically, it can't be done. Now they're terrified at the idea that, wait a minute, there's a Google Nest that Kylie Clapp had her forensic interview redone. 2 days into the vehicle accident, the police department lied to the kids and then put them in a forensic interview. Weaponized those kids against Mustafa. Kylie Clapp, her forensic interview was removed from the discovery and redone a year later. Kylie Clapp on the internet says, that's not true. No one redone my interview. Now Kylie Clapp, we don't know her. I've met her when I was protesting in front of the jail. At the pavilion, 2 minutes away from the jail, I was actively protesting for my brother every day. And hence, I was barefooted, hence where the barefooted monkey coined the term came out. I was actively protesting for my brother. And here we have Kylie Clapp right in front of me. Never met Kylie. And she's right there in front of me, telling me that she wants to meet mama, meet my mom, meet everybody, and look into the evidence that we have. She says, no one is telling me anything. And she's crying. And she says, they're not telling me anything. The prosecutor is keeping me out of the whole thing. She's not telling anybody anything. They're not letting me watch the dash camera. They're not letting me see anything. They're not showing me anything. So I called my mom, and she's hugging on my mom, telling her, I've been wanting to meet you for a long time. And she sits with us for over 2 hours. Now, Kylie Clapp, I remember at the time, was telling me, can you not record anything? And here I am. I was thinking, this is Dorothy's daughter. And she's just innocently telling me, don't record anything. Now, knowing me, I record everything. I recorded the whole entire interaction. Now, I find out that Kylie Clapp is not there, and it's not a random interaction. Kylie Clapp, the prosecutor removed her interview and redid it a year later after she came out to see us. Now, Kylie Clapp goes on the internet, and she says, that's not true. No one deleted my interview. No one did a redo to an interview. Well, ma'am, you forget who you're talking to. You forget that I'm a guy that has the whole entire discovery, and I'm going to release the document that says the prosecutor redone your forensic interview a year later. She removed it and redid the interview. So you tell me they're using a witness that's actively going out there collecting information. And on a body cam, she says in her forensic interview, says Mustafa is abusive to my mother. Mustafa is abusive to the kids. But I didn't see anything. She doesn't live at the apartment. She lives with her dad. She doesn't live at the apartment. And she says she never saw anything. And she's actively out there gathering information to get her story straight about what she's going to say about Mustafa. Now, would it surprise you to know that Kylie Clapp is on a recorded line soliciting to kill Mustafa? That's a motive to lie about Mustafa. Apparently, she's connected to the individual that hates Mustafa. This is
Tonight.
This is an individual that had a problem with Mustafa. This is a club owner.
Fucking keep it up, and goddammit, I'm telling you, you're gonna fucking go. You're gonna fucking get off my property. How many times I have to tell him, officer?
This is a club owner.
Off my property. Get the fuck off it.
I got this whole thing on
You
video.
hear? Good. Get the fuck off my property. You get the fuck off it. You're gonna go to jail, bro. Yeah, you watch who goes to fucking jail. How many times have you heard how many times I've told him? And you'll fucking see where we're standing. Get the fuck off my property, motherfucker. Bitch, stop. Fuck you. Get off. Fucking keep it up, and goddamn.
What do we see here? We see a giant white guy attacking Mustafa, and Mustafa is attempting to do everything he can to de-escalate the situation, taking steps backward. I mean, what is the situation? Mustafa has a physical therapy equipment company that sells those physical therapy equipment devices and heat warmers. Those heat warmers were usable heat warmers. And me and Mustafa, we would go out to a busy area in Crystal City and promote the business and sell the heat warmers. And I would be passing out my business card to expand my company in that area. It's a public parking lot. It's a public easement. And one day, this guy comes out and he's attacking my brother. So I take out my cell phone, hoping that this crazy man is going to realize he's being recorded, de-escalate situation. The police are going to be there. So I record the situation. This goes viral. Over 7 million people saw this video. Individuals started duetting it on TikTok. And it became viral. And the community did not stand for racism. A white racist man attack Mustafa for making a living. The community doesn't stand for it. And they start boycotting his establishment. Now, Why is he so angry? I mean, if you're from the area, if you know anything about Crystal City, everybody will tell you that Billy, the club owner, is selling drugs out of his strip club. And here we are, in front of his club, promoting our company. Pat McCord is bringing unwanted attention to him. And he takes it upon himself to get rid of us, and it backfires in his face. It became viral. This is public property. We have every right to be there. We've been going there for a long time. You're not gonna kick us out of public property. I don't give a fuck who you are. This is public property, and we're making a living. We've been coming here for a long time. You have no right into that parking lot. That video went viral. The community stopped boycotting that establishment. To stand up for my brother, what I do, I bring in all my trucks. I had giant trucks. And I put a TV in front of the club. You're not going to bully my brother.
Yeah, we out here, dog. What's up?
You see that say Quantico Roadside Assistance? I customize a pole out of it, and I put a TV. Ryan Rogers Club, across the street, I'm playing his video, being racist. That went viral. I made the guy famous. You're not going to bully my little brother and think you're going to get away with it. And you have his bouncers outside, pissed off. The strippers that I have videos that used to come out and promote my brother's business are now antagonizing my brother. I mean, do you blame them? The community stopped boycotting that business, not making any money anymore. And if anybody knows about strip clubs, if their boss is not happy, they're gonna make their boss happy. So what they started doing, the same ones that love my brother and used to help him promote and sell his heat warmers, are now going across the street and are antagonizing him. Now, unfortunately for them, they don't think that I have the videos. I record everything. And I have videos of those strippers. Specifically, there is one stripper that went on the internet, and I found a very interesting post. That she reached out to Evelyn Horton. Apparently, Evelyn Horton, I don't know the lady. But I think she's the grandmother of one of the kids. And on the Prince William County Police Department, she has a video where she chops up the video after antagonizing my brother to get a specific reaction on my brother. And she takes it, she's like, I know him, he's abusive. Lady, do you know who you're messing with? I'm the guy that records everything. I have all your videos and how violent you are. And she started putting on the internet that Mustafa is abusive. Mustafa records the strippers. Well, you weren't saying that before your boss got angry at Mustafa. Before your boss went viral. Is that not motive to lie about Mustafa? You think this community is stupid? Do you think this community is going to believe a stripper that sells her asshole for a living over the videos that I have? Would you believe that this man is making a living selling heat warmers and promoting his business? Or do you believe a stripper who says, I'm terrified. He's recording me. He's recording my license plate. Lady, you sell your asshole for a living. Nothing against strippers. I'm not knocking anybody down. But you walk around naked and you sell your asshole for a living. And I have proof that you have a motive that you're painting my brother in the light that you're painting him. And I cannot wait for this to come together. Do you know who you're messing with? I record everything. and someone sent me these snapshots where she goes to Evelyn Horton, the grandmother. I guess she's I don't know her. I think she's a grandmother of one of the kids, where she's telling her. Let's see if I can find it. You like how I put that together? Sells her asshole for a living. I'm very animated. If you know me for a while, you understand my sarcasm. The more you get to know me, the more you're going to realize you're dealing with a barefooted monkey. This is what you're dealing with. I mean, to sit here on a table with Amy Hotchkiss, this is who's going to expose the whole entire thing. Let me see. Almost there. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There we go. Okay. That specific stripper is Anna Majoru. Lady, I don't even know how to say your last name. Anna Majoru. The prosecutor has 60 witnesses. Let me tell you what the prosecutor wants to do. The prosecutor, on dash camera, it's a vehicle accident. But what did they do? They cut the dash camera, and I have proof that they cut the dash camera, muted the dash camera, falsified Mustafa's statements on the police report that he said he was arguing, but we have a recording that Mustafa never said he was arguing to the investigator. We got a letter from investigator from Internal Affairs admitting that they falsified the police reports. Now that all this is coming out, her strategy is she wants to use 60 witnesses. I mean, 60 witnesses. I thought we're talking about a vehicle accident. What are you going to do? Pull 60 strippers out of that club that had a problem with Mustafa because their boss went viral? Wow. Oh, wait a minute. The strippers were in the trunk of that vehicle and they saw everything. Is that what you want to do? You want to use 60 strippers out of that club into Mustafa's character? We have evidence that it's a vehicle accident, so you want to muddy up the water. You want to bring in white strippers. This one specifically is not white. She's Lebanese. Her and her wife. I don't know if her wife is also a stripper. They want to bring in strippers. Judge Carol Weimer, you're going to have girls that are half naked on the stand. And you thought you can grab one prosecutor by the pussy? You're going to have 60 stripper to grab by the pussy. We know that Billy pays a lot of money into the police department, into supervisor board in the county. I mean, you're talking about a strip club that's passed down by father generation over to Billy. And now Billy is not happy. And the prosecutor's strategy is to bring in strippers to lie about Mustafa. That were not there. They want to tell you, Mustafa is a horrible man. Lady, do you know that I have all the videos and I record everything? I cannot wait for this freak show to unravel itself. Because you're going to have a barefooted monkey who records everything with a lot of videos. Now, what's disturbing is the things that we're finding out the longer this drags. One of the witnesses is Kylie Clapp. At the time she was 16. Today she's 18. Kylie Clapp is being used as a witness into Mustafa's character with her mom, a relationship with Dorothy, relationship with the kids. And she's painting Mustafa as the monster and tell you, I was not there. I didn't see anything. But she says Mustafa abused my mom, abused the kids. Now, would you be surprised to believe that Kylie Clapp, that her father works for Billy? This guy?
Fucking keep it up, and goddammit, I'm telling you, you're gonna fucking go.
We have her on our recorded line saying that her dad works for Billy.
My dad, he's a piercer. He pierces like a lot of strippers, and he had brought up to them what happened, and they were and who they were, and they were like, yeah, we know this guy. Like, he used to record our license plates and put it on the internet and like follow us home and stuff. So I also was thinking, I don't want them to follow me home, and I don't want.
She's terrified of us because the strippers are telling her that this guy used to record our license plate. Well, I have videos that used to love Mustafa, but after this,
Keep it up, and goddammit, I'm telling you, you're gonna.
all of a sudden Mustafa's a monster. Wait a minute. What's Kylie doing hanging out with strippers? Oh, wait a minute. Your dad works for Billy and he pierces all the strippers? Mustafa got in a relationship with Dorothy a month after this incident. Unbeknownst to Mustafa, Dorothy's daughter, dad works for Billy, and she's hanging around those strippers that we took a giant TV standing up to Billy. And God help you when you stand up to Billy. Billy is the owner of a club. It's like going up against a mob. Might as well. You know who Billy is? He's the richest person in Crystal City. He owns a strip club that's passed down by generations. And here we are. We're not going to get bullied, and we're going to stand up to Billy. Your dad works for him? You're hanging around those strippers? And now your stripper is reaching out to the grandmother? Unbeknownst to Mustafa, a month into that situation, he meets Dorothy. And now you're formulating your opinion about Mustafa through those strippers? And this girl goes as far as solicit to kill Mustafa. At one point, she gets in Mustafa's car, and she began recording when Mustafa's not there, when Dorothy's not there, that Mustafa abused 5-year-old Empress. It takes you 2 seconds to realize that she's attempting to solicit an answer out of a 5-year-old that doesn't know what's going on. She has a cell phone, not on Empress, not on herself, attempting to frame. The police show up in their apartment a month before the vehicle accident. Just about a month. They check on the kids, they talk to Dorothy, they talk to Mustafa, they open the fridge, and they were like, there's no abuse here. I mean, we have the Google Nest inside the apartment. This girl attempted to frame Mustafa. And when she couldn't frame Mustafa, she went to Glenn Ford, the ex-boyfriend, the jealous ex-boyfriend, and asked him to kill Mustafa. The other witness that the police department is using as a witness that tell you, I never saw anything. They're fabricating probable cause. Let's listen to the audio where he says, Kylie came up to me and asked me to kill Mustafa. And can we make it look like an accident?
Especially the older daughter. And she wanted me to shoot, like, kill him.
The older daughter wanted you to kill him?
Yeah. Like, like, could you please, like, if I make it look like, so, like, you know what I'm saying, like something, and it's like self-defense, would you do it? And I'm like, no.
She goes to Glenn Ford, the ex-boyfriend, and asks him, can we kill Mustafa and make it look like an accident? Well, what do we have today? We have a vehicle accident, and the police mechanic says There's brake failure. There's transmission failure. The investigator on scene, they say that Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. That he cleared all the vehicle, he made it to the other side, and the SUV turned into him. All of these are his skid marks. The computer inside the vehicle showed that Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time. Did someone tamper with his vehicle? I don't know. But we have Kylie solicit to kill Mustafa. Kylie, who works for Billy, who a week into that incident, Mustafa's vehicle was tampered with. And I have a video where someone recorded someone go under Mustafa's vehicle and take out his whole entire Cadillac converter. And the police didn't want to do anything about it. As a matter of fact, they joked and they told Mustafa, let your mobile brother mechanic help you. Laughing at Mustafa. Of course, I'm not surprised. He has an active lawsuit against the police. You don't care. You have a relationship with Billy. He pays them off. A strip club that makes that much money? You want to tell me that he's not paying off police? Of course he is. Can we kill Mustafa and make it look like an accident? So you're hanging around those strippers. Your dad works for Billy. You're attempting to frame Mustafa as an abuser to your 5-year-old baby. When that didn't work, you're soliciting to kill Mustafa. I mean, who else did you ask to kill Mustafa? Who's telling you to go kill Mustafa? Is it Billy? I don't know. But I'll tell you, the police department has an obligation to look into the details when you have someone on a recorded line solicit to kill somebody. And here we have today a vehicle accident where the police mechanic is admitting there's brake failure. That Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. This is the police mechanic admitting this is a vehicle accident. There's brake failure. They inspect the car.
Look at that one, because that one stopped. That one, yeah, I saw that one stop. You want me to spin that one or this one? Yeah. Hey, Cruz, watch the front one. Okay. Hey, Cruz, you got that one? Okay, ready? Okay. I released. Hold on. Okay. All right, good. Good.
So they inspect
It's released.
the back driver side, the front driver side. Those are good. They hit the brake, the wheel stops, and then you'll see here where they inspect the front passenger, the back passenger, and the tire keeps running. Keep going. That's brake failure.
Yeah, we saw it. Hey, where's my clipboard at?
Let's go back to it real quick.
Really?
He's hitting the brake with a bar, but the tire keeps going.
Hold on. Okay. All right, good. Good. It's released. Visual on that. Ready.
This one.
Okay. Yeah. Just tell me when you're ready. You ready? I'm applying it. This one's still going. That one's still going?
That one's still going.
Okay.
So, the front, this is about a 2-hour long body cam. They go into details about the brakes. They go into details about the transmission. The front passenger, the back passenger, the tire keeps going. Even if you're hearing the brake, the tire keeps going. That's brake failure. The vehicle had some brake, but it gave out. Mustafa managed to get the vehicle from 55 to 35, but it gave out. As a matter of fact, in the dash camera that we're going to jump into, you see the Empress in the back shift all the way forward twice. Mustafa has skid marks before the intersection, after the intersection. Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time. The computer inside the vehicle, that's what the computer showed. The brake failed, the transmission drive shaft disconnected. Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time, only on the brake, but the RPM was going up. That drive shaft disconnected in the middle of him driving. As a matter of fact, you can't say that this is because of the vehicle accident, because the hollow area around the frame, around the drive shaft, this is the drive shaft disconnecting. There is hollow area around the drive shaft. If it was crushed in, you can say because of impact. But this is not because of impact. When Mustafa cleared all the vehicle, the SUV turned into him, you can't say because of impact, the drive shaft disconnected. No. There's a hollow area. It's not touched. This is the frame, untouched. This is the drive shaft disconnecting midway through while he was driving, causing the RPM to go up even though his foot was on the brake only. So you have major mechanical failure. You have the brake failing, you have the drive shaft disconnecting from the engine, and this is on a body cam. This is the police admitting there's mechanical failure. So the question is, did someone tamper with Mustafa's vehicle? We don't know. We're still investigating. And we're asking the police department to do their job. We have Kylie Clapp on our recorded line. Glenn Ford says she came up to me and solicited to kill Mustafa. And can we make it look like an accident? Where we have today, we have a vehicle accident. And the brakes are tampered with. They're not working. The police mechanics say there is no brakes. That this vehicle had mechanical failure. Did they tamper with the vehicle? We don't know. But we're asking the police department and the federal government to do their job. I mean, this is a big problem. You want to tell me the police department is using her as a witness into Mustafa's character, knowing that she has a motive against Mustafa? They sealed everything off. And they thought no one is going to put one and two together. Who are the witnesses? What is the probable cause? You manufactured probable cause. You allowed these individuals to lie about Mustafa. But here we have Amy Hodgkins identified, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're gonna really quick jump into other portion of the recording. Glenn Ford, and we're actively waiting. Glenn Ford is on the internet. He's on TikTok, and we're asking him to address the content of the audio that's floating around. Glenn Ford admitted to a private investigator that Kylie came up to him and asked him to kill Mustafa and make it look like an accident. That Glenn Ford, he admitted, and he said, I force Dorothy's kids, at the time when he was in a relationship with Dorothy, to shower, and I'm in the bathroom. I'm not looking at them. He's trying to convince her that he forces kids that are 9 and 10. What 40-year-old man forces a kid to shower? That's disturbing. That he wakes up to Kylie, who was 16 at the time. Actually, she was 15 at the time. Because a 15-year-old Kylie at the time. When Glenn Ford, when he said she wakes up. No, actually, he says 16. Who gives a fuck? He's a pedophile. He says on a recorded line that he wakes up to her in his bed. We're waiting for this guy to address the audio. But so far, he's running away. And Amy Hodgkins, a.k.a. Christine Alcazar, has him on the live. And she has Kylie, that was 16-year-old at the time, that wakes up in his bed. And she has him on the live. And is not asking him, hey, there's an audio of you saying to a private investigator that you fucked a 16-year-old. My favorite line is our beautiful, beautiful Mary Jo, who they worked so hard on her, and when she didn't buy their bullshit, they start harassing her, threatening her. At one point, she was on their live, simply asking questions. She wants to get to the bottom of the case. There are so many details out there, and she finds herself on Christine Alcazar's live. Under Christine Warda on TikTok. And at one point, beautiful, beautiful Mary Jo, she says, how could I be on a live protecting Kylie with the guy fucking Kylie? Immediately, Christine Alcazar started attacking her, started threatening her for asking questions. I mean, this is a big problem. There's an audio floating around. And Amy Hodgkins, a.k.a. Christine Alcazar, are you not addressing it? Let's listen to the audio.
And there was no joy.
I was like, it would be a problem. Like, you know what? Just stop anything. I won't. If I do it, I won't.
This is the part where he says he forces kids.
Remember, I had to force those kids to take a fucking shower.
Put her up.
I had to teach them how to fucking take a shower. Worst situation when I met you in. Yeah. I had to force those kids to take a shower. Remember, I had to force those kids to take a fucking shower. I had to teach them how to fucking take a shower. I mean, I wasn't in there with the boys looking at them.
I wasn't in there was looking. I had to force them to shower. You're forcing a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old to shower, and you're convincing this private investigator that you're not looking at them. You're just showering them. What 4-year-old man showers kids? This is a portion of the audio. By the way, it's an 59-minute audio on YouTube. You can go there and listen to the whole thing. YouTube is unique because if you put a time, it takes you directly to that conversation. So on there, when you look at the text benchmarks that we've marked, at 54-minute, you'll see him talk about waking up where 16-year-old Kylie is in his bed.
One time I went to sleep, I woke up, she was in my bed, I got my ass in the motherfucking room. Like, I fuck with you, you're my friend and all that. Like, I know we had a history, we had a past, whatever, but this is different. This is fucking different. We are grown, you are still you're in a worse situation when I met you in. Yeah. I had to force those kids to take a shower. I had to force those kids.
If you go to 51 minutes in the audio, you'll hear him take a deep dive into describing the relationship that 16-year-old Kylie has with her mother. And it was a very dysfunctional relationship. He describes how Kylie, 16-year-old Kylie, was heavily involved with drugs, prostitution. And he at one point says that she walks around half naked and her mom is very upset at her. And then in one point in the conversation, he says that she was having a conversation with her mom and she would tell her, we're fucking the same guy. and he gets upset because she said too much. I mean, this is disturbing.
But the other daughter, I think she did some shit.
How old was she?
16? 15 or 16. The one time her daughter came to my house all high and shit, I'm like, yo, bro, nah. I told her, like, yo.
Kylie would come to his house all high, and then he goes into details where she doesn't know where she's at. Listen.
Like just weed or?
No, it's not weed. If it was weed, I wouldn't care as much.
Yeah.
She used to come in and
Like nodding.
and it's like on the ground, like,
She's on the ground. She doesn't know where she's at. She's like, yeah. And then she wakes up in his bed.
I take them.
Listen.
Well, I took them.
Yeah.
And I didn't act like that. Like,
Yeah.
that was like me. I used to do it like to the point where I took it because I didn't want to get sick with all this
Yeah.
shit. So I took like one. I think one, I'm good for the date.
Yeah.
She looked like she took like multiple, or she took them like
Did
different
mom
ways.
do it with her?
No, I know for a fact. Dorothy didn't do pills with her, but she would smoke weed with her.
Okay.
Independent lab tests have proven that Husky liners with our ProGuard formula are over 70% more.
Your daughter comes in this house like that. Dorothy didn't do pills with her, but she would smoke weed with her.
Okay.
I told Dorothy, your daughter comes in this house like that one more
Why do you
time.
think that she did something like she did what happened to her with that one?
Her daughter said it.
What the fuck she say?
Like when she was arguing with her mom, like, cause Dorothy and her used to argue all the time.
This is not the oldest
Not
one.
the oldest one. The oldest one, she's a sweetheart. She's a fucking sweetheart. But she gangster too.
Nah.
Like, she gangster, like, she's ready to kill that nigga. Like, seriously kill that nigga.
She's the one that wanted to do.
The older one.
So what did she say to
Oh, cause,
they be arguing?
yeah, and she be like, the way she dressed and shit, Dorothy be like, you run around acting like a little slut or whatever. And she be like, oh, you look pop on the pedal back because we used to fuck the same guys and da-da-da-da and all that shit. I'm like, oh.
What?
Fucking the same guy.
Wow.
Y'all gotta go. He gets really upset. She said too much. Now everybody has to go. We're fucking the same guy. What is she arguing with her mom about? What is a 16-year-old arguing with her mom? We're fucking the same guy. You gotta go. He gets upset. She said too much. What is the content of the argument? That she walks around half naked. She's on drugs. She's living a certain lifestyle. This is giving you insight into who Kylie is. Now, he goes further and he says, I wake up. We're on the same drugs. I wake up with her in my... Okay, listen.
Used to?
I'm like, y'all gotta go. This shit right here, like, nah. I'm not about that right now. I don't want no cops knocking on my door asking for you.
Wow.
And they did that too. After I kicked her out or whatever, the school system came. It's like, yeah, it's Dorothy Fontaine. I'm like, yo, she can fucking live here. What am I here for? Yeah, because her kids haven't been in school for weeks. I'm like, I don't know where she at. She doesn't live here. She never lived here. Like,
A lot of her behaviors remind me of someone who has a substance abuse problem.
no, she never, like, she didn't do no drugs. She
What
knew,
about that Mustafa guy?
I don't know. I just think he just smokes weed. Cause I even asked her, like, you know what I'm saying, like, yo, you on?
Is he alcoholic?
I just know he's supposed to be. Because I asked her, like, you know what I'm saying, because at that time I was taking the shits. And I was like, it would be a problem. Like, you know what, just to stop anything, I won't, if I do it, I won't do it in this house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So every time I, like, come home from work, I would do it before I get in the house.
Yeah.
Or I would step out my house. Even
Yeah.
though I shouldn't have to step out my house.
Yeah.
Every time she's trying to sleep on my bed, like, no, go in the fucking living room, yo. I'm like,
We're on the same drugs. Wake up with her in my bed. Glenn Ford, you're on the internet. You can find him on TikTok under Glenn Ford. And we're asking him to address the audio of Kylie Clapp, 16-year-old Kyle Clapp, at the time, waking up in his bed. We're asking him to address this audio. What is a 16-year-old doing in your bed, sir? We're on the same drugs, hard drugs that she doesn't know where she's at. You're forcing kids that are 9 and 10 to shower. Now we have a very interesting audio recording from from Divine Jones, who gives us insight into who Glenn Ford is. Divine Jones is the ex-husband. We have him on a police body cam talking to an investigator and describing who Glenn Ford is. And the details that he goes into are disturbing. Now, Mustafa and Dorothy were in a relationship for 3 months. This is a new relationship. But before this relationship, before 3 months, Dorothy was with Glenn Ford. That's her ex-boyfriend, who, according to the ex-husband, Divine Jones, used to abuse her, beat her, abuse the kids, beat the kids. And the reason that she was living out of her van with 5 kids, when Mustafa met Dorothy, she was living out of her van with 5 kids. They started a relationship, Mustafa and Dorothy, fell in love, and they moved into an apartment. Dorothy was no longer living out of her van because Mustafa worked so hard to get this girl out of her van into a better situation. They loved each other. I mean, I met them a month before the vehicle accident and 2 weeks before the vehicle accident. And they loved each other. All they talked about is how Dorothy tells me how she's supporting Mustafa's small business. Mustafa tells me how she's supporting her. She's a nurse from home. She made me coffee in the balcony. She laughed at how disgusting I drink my black coffee without sugar. I played Uno with Mustafa, Dorothy, and the kids. The dog is running around in the background. It was a beautiful relationship. The reason Dorothy was living out of her van with 5 kids is because of Glenn Ford. He cheated on her, used to abuse the kids. I mean, the ex-husband, Divine Jones, goes into details that are disturbing. He says that Glenn Ford hated her 9-year-old and 5-year-old Empress because the mom gave them more attention, and he used to abuse them because mom loved them more. What's a 40-year-old man picking on a 5-year-old? Let's listen to that conversation. The reason all this is relevant is the police department is using these individuals into the character of Mustafa, into Mustafa's relationship with Dorothy, into Mustafa's relationship with the kids, when they're telling you on a body cam, we didn't see anything. But they're telling you Mustafa's abusive to the kids. But they say we didn't see anything. That's hearsay. The police department is actively allowing these people to manufacture probable cause. And to find out that Kylie Clapp is connected, Kylie Clapp is formulating her opinion about her mom's boyfriend through those strippers that Mustafa has problems with, is a problem. Here you have a girl who talks openly about the strippers, who tells you her dad works for Billy, the guy that had a problem with Mustafa, is now meeting Mustafa and formulating her opinion about Mustafa through the eyes of Billy and the strippers. I mean, in a forensic interview, Kylie Clapp says, my dad is forcing me to be here. My dad is making me be here. Let's listen to that forensic interview. That was redone, by the way, after she actively came out and had the prosecutor delete her original forensic interview. I've got the documents, so you can't tell me this didn't happen. This is a forensic interview that was done a year after it was redone.
So why? What is it that brought you here? Like, why are you here to talk to me today?
Because my dad made me.
Did you have me now?
Because my dad made me. Are we talking about the same dad that works for Billy?
So
I can keep it up, and goddammit, I'm telling you, you're gonna fucking
That Billy? That this situation happened a month before he met your mother? Now you're talking about my dad worked for Billy? Oh, the strippers are telling me that he records license plates. He's a horrible monster.
My dad, he's a piercer. He pierces like a lot of strippers, and he had brought up to them what happened, and they were and who they were, and they were like, yeah, we know this guy. Like, he used to record our license plates and put it on the internet and like follow us home and stuff. So I also was thinking, I don't want them to follow me home, and I don't want to put myself in a.
Are we talking about the same Kylie that went and solicited to kill Mustafa? This is Glenn Ford.
Especially the older daughter. And she wanted me to shoot, like, kill him.
The older daughter wanted you to kill him?
Yeah. Like, man, like, could you please, like, if I make it look like...
Fine.
Like, you know
Can we make it look like an accident?
It's like self-defense. Would you do it? And I'm like, no.
You're hanging around Billy. Your dad worked for Billy. You're hanging around those strippers. And now you're actively attempting to get this man killed. You're soliciting to kill Mustafa. So you're formulating your opinion about Mustafa through the eyes of the stripper, through the eyes of Billy. Mustafa just met your mom. Is it because of Billy? Is it because you're formulating your opinion about your mom's new boyfriend through whoever you're hanging around with, Billy and the strippers? Is it because you felt abandoned? I mean, this girl is living a specific lifestyle of prostitution, of drugs, and her mom, she says in a forensic interview, Mom chose my boyfriend over me. I mean, here you have Dorothy, who's moving forward with her life. She's living in a van with 5 kids and is moving forward with her life and tells her daughter, live with your dad. Go live with your dad. Kylie was already separated by CPS before Mustafa meets Dorothy. Kylie was not living at the apartment. Kylie was living with her dad, the dad that works for Billy. And her mom, at one point, it got so bad between her and her mom, she's telling her, I don't want to have anything to do with you. Yes, I choose my boyfriend. In a forensic interview, that's what she says. She said, Mom chose my boyfriend over me. Is that why you hate Mustafa? Your mom's new boyfriend? Is it because of Billy? We don't know. All we know for a fact is that this is a vehicle accident, and the police mechanic are saying there's brake failure. Did you have anything to do with the brakes? I mean, you asked Glenn Ford to kill Mustafa. Did you ask anybody else? Is anybody asking you to have this transaction done? I mean, here we are in front of Billy, the baddest motherfucker on town. You might as well fucking with the mob. You're telling Billy, you're not gonna bully us. And we bring in all our trucks in front of his club. You're not gonna walk all over my brother. And you think Billy's gonna let that go? He's the owner of a strip club, of the biggest and only club in town. I mean, you've got his bouncers angry as... You think he's going to let it go? A month into that situation, Mustafa met Dorothy. And Mustafa didn't move in with Dorothy until 2 months later. In that apartment. And then here you have a Kylie in the background who the police department is using to manufacture probable cause. I mean, she goes to Amy Hotchkiss, and Amy Hotchkiss on a police body cam says, I don't know Mustafa. I don't know Dorothy. That tells you something very specific about Amy Hotchkiss. That this is a new relationship that she has with Kylie. I mean, she doesn't know Dorothy. She's telling you on a police body cam, I don't know Dorothy. I don't know Dorothy. I don't know Mustafa. I didn't see anything. Talk to Kylie. That's what she says on her body cam. I mean, this is the same lady on TikTok under Christine Warda. I mean, how is it that you have this 16-year-old girl at the time Kylie Clapp was 16, wrapped around your finger, that you're on a body cam saying Mustafa is abusive, he's abusive to Dorothy, he's abusive to the kids, but you didn't see anything. That's what she told the police. You didn't see anything. Ask Kylie. That's what she says. How do you have this Amy Hotchkiss wrapped around your finger like that? I mean, this girl is a manipulator. She manipulated Amy Hotchkiss, who tells you I didn't see anything. But yet, she's believing everything she says. What do you have on Glenn Ford that you have this man lie about Mustafa and watch Mustafa? Glenn Ford says, I don't know Mustafa. Mustafa doesn't. No, he says, Mustafa doesn't know me. Glenn Ford, in a police body cam and online, he says specifically, Mustafa doesn't know me. Never met me. But you're watching Mustafa. Is it possible that Kylie is blackmailing, that Kylie Clapp, the 16-year-old, is blackmailing this 40-year-old man for fucking her? Yeah, it's possible. He's on a recorded line saying she wakes up in my bed. Is it possible that she has videos and pictures that she's bullying this man and blackmailing him into releasing? It's possible. How do you have this man wrapped around your finger like that? You're doing drugs together. You wake up in her in your bed. What's going on here? And now you have Amy Hotchkiss wrapped around your finger. I don't know Mustafa. I don't know Dorothy. But this is what's going on. Kylie tells me Mustafa is abusive to her mother. Mustafa is abusive to the kids. Where's the police department? Instead, they seal everything because they hate Mustafa. They don't care. As a matter of fact, they actively went to Glenn Ford and they removed his criminal charges. All of his criminal charges. Glenn Ford has an active, he had a gun charge, possession, distribution of drugs, drunk in public, all of it got no processed. How? How are they removing all his criminal charges? I mean, I've got one of the body cam where they're making a deal with Glenn Ford and they want him to lie for them. I've got that body cam. What? You have that body cam? They remove his criminal charges. Kim Coleman, the neighbor, she has a hit and run, and they removed her criminal charges. Let's listen to Divine Jones and what Divine Jones says about Glenn Ford.
Hey, who was this? Who was this guy?
By the way, this is Investigator Romero. There's another investigator in the background. They're talking to Derek, the brother, the half brother. And in the middle of the conversation inside the police department with Investigator Romero, a phone call comes in, and Investigator Romero would have it on speaker, and it's Divine Jones, the ex-husband, who they actively removed and pushed away to not have him be part of his daughter when they unplugged 5-year-old Empress. After she was stable, they unplugged her, and they made a decision labeled as John Doe, even though they know who she is and they're in communication with the father. They label 5-year-old Empress as John Doe to get away with unplugging her. Now, let's listen to what Divine Jones says about Glenn Ford.
I looked all up and I'll show you.
So the ex-husband tells the investigator that Glenn Ford tried to kill him.
I hate when the original audio is not there. It's not
Hey, who was this? Who was this guy? Who was the? Hey, who was this? Who was this guy?
Glenn Ford, I looked all up and I'll show you.
Hey, who was this? Who was this guy?
He was a loving person. Son, allegations about. So the.
It's in here somewhere. There's so many body cams, but we'll find it. Glenn Ford in the background watching this. He's like, yes, he doesn't have it. Oh, I've got it, buddy. I've got it. That's funny. I got it. There we go.
I'm just gonna keep it straight with you. I'm not here to BS or anything, but with their investigation, we checked your name to figure out this whole protective order situation, and then that's where I was informed that you have a outstanding capias from Fairfax County in reference
For what?
in reference to a protection order violation.
There's a protection order. There's a protection order. There's a protection order on the wife, Dorothy. That doesn't apply to the kids. But they're actively using that to push him away because he goes against the narrative that they want to use. They want to use Glenn Ford. And what he says contradicts how they want to move forward with the case. They want to let Kylie Clapp, Amy Hopkins, Kim Coleman, and Glenn Ford, who they all have something in common, is they all know each other. And they're all saying the same story. And they all say, on a body cam, we didn't see anything. So they push the husband away and they go with those people. Listen.
In reference
For what?
in reference to a protection order violation.
That guy, him and her, plotted to me. I didn't even notice until he got the police. He had First William to come there and kicked her and the kids out. So I had to come all the way down there to pick them up. And so when I picked her up and everything, we going to the Wawa. She was sitting there. She was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Look at this picture. This is where he said he was gonna bury you." I said, "For what? I don't even know this dude."
Hey, who was this? Who was this guy?
Glenn Ford, because I looked all up and I'll show you when I get.
By the
down
way,
there. I looked.
when Devon George says Glenn Ford, in the police report, they're writing Mustafa Al-Jazari. So not only did they falsify Mustafa's statement when investigator Drum talks to him, they falsify every statement, every police report.
All up and I got one of those and I called the detectives because I was like, "Yo, somebody needs," because now I don't even know this new dude. I could just be standing somewhere or walking somewhere and they come up and shit me and I'm not prepared because I don't know who they are.
So who was it that was saying they were going to shoot you? Was it Glenn or the other guy?
No, it was Glenn.
It was Glenn.
Who is it that said he was going to shoot you? It's Glenn. He's telling him Glenn Ford, and he writes Mustafa.
Yeah, but see, he knows where I live, and I still don't even know. I still don't even know him. I don't know what he drives or anything, so I can't even be on point for that type of situation because they sent me a picture one time of their location, and they was right on the street where I live. And I'm like, and I called her, and I said, "Where's the picture?" And I said, "Matter of fact, where's the kids?" Because I kept calling Prince William
Child protector was like, somebody go check on my kids. Because I knew she'd be late. Y'all just pulled her over coming from Manassas and let her go. She ain't never had license. She had over 20 pullovers and never even went to jail. It's like no car seats and all this stuff, man. Did my baby, was she in a car seat when that happened?
So I'm actually not the crash investigator. I'm from the Special Victims Unit.
You see how he doesn't tell him? He's specifically misleading him. Dorothy never had her baby in a car seat. That's what Divine Jones is talking about. I remember Mustafa coming over here when he met Dorothy, and he borrowed my brother Muhammad's car seat because he ordered a seat. It's going to be on the way. He said, can I borrow it just for a little bit, blah, blah, blah. And then he bought a seat. And on dash camera, it shows that he's the one that's telling Dorothy to buckle the baby. And she buckles the baby, but they lie on the news. This is the dash camera where 5-year-old Empress is being buckled by her mom after Mustafa is telling her to buckle the baby. But on the news, they lie and say 5-year-old Empress was not buckled. Here, he doesn't even tell dad that it's buckled. That there was even a baby seat. I need to be a little bit more organized. There's so many body cams. There's so many body cams. You need to organize them as exhibits. Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, 3. Almost there. Almost there. There we go. This is the dash camera, and you'll see that 5-year-old Empress is being buckled by Dorothy. After Mustafa told Dorothy.
Aspect of this investigation separate from the crash. Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't really have details about that portion.
And he wasn't hitting the kids, was he?
That I can't really go into too much detail about. That's what I'm looking in for. Some physical abuse allegations. So that is still an active investigation.
So Divine Jones is asking him, was Mustafa abusive to the kids? He wasn't hitting the kids, was he?
Was it to my daughter?
To your daughter, you mean Empress?
Empress, yes.
As far as I know, no.
Okay.
And investigator Romero specifically tell him that Mustafa is not abusive to Empress. Mustafa's not abusive.
It was probably Pharaoh, because Pharaoh is her favorite, and most do. The last guy, Glenn, got jealous of Pharaoh and Empress.
The father is kept in the dark. He's like, was he hitting my kids? Was he abusive to Empress? Investigator Romero tells him no. And then Divine Jones says it's probably Pharaoh, because the last guy used to abuse Pharaoh. He's talking about Glenn Ford. He's asking him. Listen.
It was probably Pharaoh, because Pharaoh is her favorite, and most do. The last guy, Glenn, he got jealous of Pharaoh and Empress because of the relationship they have.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn Ford is jealous of Pharaoh and 5-year-old Empress because of how close the mother is to her kids. What 40-year-old man is jealous of kids because the mother loves them? Oh, we're talking about the same Glenn Ford that forces kids to shower. On a recorded line, we have him saying that he forces kids. I'm not looking at them, he says, The same Glenn Ford that wakes up with Kylie in his bed, a 16-year-old. This is a dash camera that shows Mustafa is washing the outside of his vehicle, is perfuming himself, is perfuming his car seat, is perfuming Dorsey's seat, is perfuming 5-year-old Empress seat. And a couple of seconds later, you're going to see Dorothy and 5-year-old Empress come in. Dorothy is holding flowers. And she sits in the car, and then Mustafa began gesturing for her to buckle 5-year-old Empress. So she gets out and she buckles the baby. But on the news, they said 5-year-old Empress was not buckled. I mean, we heard what the news said 2 years ago. They're painting a monster. They're actively painting a monster to the community, while behind closed doors, they seal off the body cam. I mean, this is a dash camera. This is his dash camera that he's had since 2018. Mustafa had an active lawsuit, and he had a dash camera, a Rexon dash camera. Now, I'll point out to you, why is there no audio? 2 years later, the prosecutor says, I'm going to get a lip reader. Let's listen to that clip. I mean, the more you look into this case, the more disturbing it gets. She says, I'm going to get a lip reader. I have a lip reader. In court, she says, if I have a lip reader. She doesn't have a lip reader. I opened the discovery, and there is no lip reader. She lied to the judge. She lied to the community. She lied out to the news. And the news, Julie Carey was in court when prosecutor says, Sarah Sammy says, if I have a lip reader. Julie Carey, I have a recording of the proceeding. Now, Julie Carey goes out and she makes she goes on the news and says, Sarah Sammy says, I have a lip reader. She never said I have a lip reader. I have the audio. Now, can I file a civil lawsuit? Defamation about Mustafa? Yes, I can. I have proof. And we're actively getting ready to file certain lawsuits. I'm a paralegal. My brother Muhammad is a paralegal. Mustafa is a paralegal. He wrote 20 pages motion to continue his lawsuit against the jail. 20 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes up to 20. Handwritten from solitary confinement. The kid is a paralegal. And we're going to begin to file lawsuits. Civil lawsuits against the specific police officer that lied, against these individuals that are, in this case, fabricating probable cause. Glenn Ford, Amy Hodgkins, a.k.a. Christine Alcazar, Kim Coleman, Kylie Clapp. We're going to file separate civil lawsuits. We're going to file a civil lawsuit against Rexon Dash Camera. The police department are saying it has no audio. Now, what's unique is when we open the discovery, we find out that Officer Zymus with digital forensic in the police department admit that this dash camera capability is on, the audio is on, and the audio is on the SD card. Why are they saying they need a lip reader? Oh, they're hiding the lip reader. They're hiding the audio. That's interesting. We're going to file a lawsuit against Rexon Dash Camera for the police department says the equipment doesn't have audio, right? Well, we're going to bring in the Rexon Dash Camera into the picture. Why is the dash camera cut off before impact? The dash camera is cut before impact. The frame fall on two different. The inside, this dash camera has an inside view and an outside view. The inside falls, when you count the frame, it's 8.0. And when you look at the outside, it's 8.3. This dash camera is manually cut. It shows that it's manually cut by the police department. And it cuts off before impact. We're going to sue Rexton dash camera and bring him into the picture. Why is their dash camera cut before impact? Why does it fall on 2 different frames? And why doesn't it have audio? We're going to file a separate civil lawsuit against the Chrysler 1 month after the vehicle accident. We got a letter that they have this vehicle should not be driven. And shrapnel is going to come out of the airbag. And they have they will cause specific cuts to the person in the driver's seat, specific cuts to the person in the passenger seat. Now, these are consistent with the autopsy report. In the autopsy, when you look at the pictures from Dorothy, it's consistent with shrapnel coming out of the airbag. Why does it not is not reflected in the autopsy report? The autopsy report should be objective and subjective. They know about the shrapnel and the defect in the airbag. A month after the vehicle accident, we got a letter from Chrysler that this vehicle should not be driven. And it has the same cuts that Dorothy sustained from the vehicle accident. The shrapnel came out of the airbag. Instead, what they have, which is so disturbing, is they're repeating the lie of the half-brother, Dorothy's brother Derek, when he came out on national television and said, my sister was on the phone and she's protesting to her friends that Mustafa is crashing the vehicle on purpose. The brother came out on TV and he said this.
My sister was on phone with another one of her friends when all this was happening. And my sister was on phone with another one of her friends when all this was happening.
Now, he didn't know that there's a dash camera inside the car. But he's being told by the police department. I assume he's being told by the police department. But he came out on the on TV and saying, my sister was on the phone protesting. And his statement is in the autopsy. Now, you want to tell me they didn't fabricate the autopsy reports? So they hide the dash camera. The brother is on national television lying. There is nowhere in the dash camera that Dorothy was on the phone. That's a lie. That's a flat out lie. But they thought this dash camera was not going to come out. The discovery was not going to come out. The autopsy report, no one's going to see it. Then they fabricate the autopsy report. We're going to bring a lawsuit, a civil lawsuit, against Chrysler to bring them into the picture. This is their vehicle. We're going to bring a civil lawsuit into the autopsy report. The person that wrote the autopsy report. Why is it not objective and subjective? Why is it fabricated? We're going to bring a separate lawsuit into the nurse that partook in Mustafa's interrogation in the hospital, identifying herself as law enforcement. These are all separate lawsuits that are going to come into to bring forward what they're doing to Mustafa. This is a dash camera. And it shows that the whole entire thing is a vehicle accident. And it's unsealed now, prosecutor. This prosecutor is terrified. It's terrified that she went to Judge Carol Weimer and she sealed off the dash camera. I mean, they pull into a 7-Eleven.
Mustafa's brother seems to have a lot.
3 minutes after they pull out a 7-Eleven, the accident happened. We have the CCTV video from inside 7-Eleven. You want to tell me that a guy that spends almost 10 minutes pulling up a coupon to save $2 off his cigarette is going to crash the vehicle on purpose 3 minutes later? We have the CCTV from inside 7-Eleven. Where Mustafa is pulling up a coupon for 10 minutes going through his email to save $2 off his cigarette. That guy is doing it on purpose. That guy crashed the vehicle on purpose. Sat there, looked up a coupon to save $2. This is Mustafa. And right here, our beautiful, beautiful, disgusting prosecutor, Sarah Sammy. You like how I use those two words in the same sentence? Think that she can get away with this. That she sealed the dash camera. She sealed off the CCTV. Why not release the information out to the community and let them decide, is this a vehicle accident? Is it intentional? You want to tell me that a guy that's using a coupon, $2 to save off his cigarette, 3 minutes later crashing the vehicle on purpose? Bullshit. When it doesn't make sense, it's bullshit. Mustafa comes back when he exits the 7-Eleven. And you see him washing his vehicle. This is a CCTV from outside the 7-Eleven. This is Mustafa's vehicle. You see him coming back from 7-Eleven. And you're going to see him with a squeegee washing his vehicle. There's a lot of pollen all over the car. And he's actively removing all of it, cleaning his car. Then he's washing the window, washing on top of the car, washing like the whole entire thing, the hood. He's removing the pollen off his vehicle. And then at one point, you'll see him go into the vehicle and give a 5-year-old Empress a piece of candy. He bought her candy. That guy hates Empress. You'll see him wash Empress's hands. You'll see it inside the dash camera and outside the dash camera. And then he goes and gets her napkins. My favorite comments on the internet is he doesn't care about her. He just doesn't want his car to get dirty. What? He's washing her hands before he even gives her candy. What are you talking about? And you're going to take that situation and troll it? I mean, you can only troll the conversation to a certain extent. He's sitting there giving her candy. He's washing her hands. And then he goes and gets her napkin to dry off her hands. She's so beautiful that she loves him so much that she's turning on the speaker for him to connect the cell phone Bluetooth to the speaker on the back. And I love how everybody wants to troll the conversation. They want to say that Dorothy is smoking weed. She's smoking hemp. Hemp is doesn't have any drugs in it. Hemp, Dorothy has cancer, and hemp helps her with the cancer. Dorothy's toxicology report: no blood, no drugs, no alcohol. Mustafa's toxicology: no drugs, no alcohol. 2 years ago, you can help the prosecutor troll the conversation when she releases the 5 seconds, when she cuts off the dash camera, release a deformed version of a dash camera. You can help the prosecutor troll the conversation. But the fact that we have all the documents, all the police body cam, all the audios, you can no longer troll the conversation. Now, one thing really quick is I want to point out that this dash camera, the police department actively cut before impact and muted. Now, the police department, there is a document there that says Officer Zymus admit that this dash camera audio capability is on, and the audio is on the SD card. So what are they doing hiding the audio? The audio is going to be released. That this police department claimed that this dash camera stopped before impact. How could a dash camera stop before impact? I mean, when you look at the dash camera, this is the dash camera before impact. Why does it cut before impact? And specifically, why does the camera facing inward stop before the camera facing outward? This shows that this dash camera is manually cut. Even if I were to go by the narrative that this dash camera somehow miraculously stopped before impact, how could it fall on two different frames? This dash camera has a camera facing outward and a camera facing inward. Now, it's connected to the same computer inside this dash camera. This police department is so incompetent that they cut it by seconds and not by frames. Let me explain. Now, when you count the frames, if you go back far enough, if you get to 8.3, you only see the camera rolling on the outside. But if you go back to 8.0, before 8.0, the camera turns on. If you're 7.5, 7.6, 7.8, 0.9, the camera cuts off at 8 seconds. While the camera on the outside is rolling at 8.1, 8.2, 8.3. There are frames that are missing from this dash camera. That this police department manually cut the dash camera at 8 seconds, but they forgot to cut it by frames. That you have missing frames from the inside. I mean, this is proof that they manually cut this dash camera. And they're so terrified now that we have these files that we can measure the frames and show this community that this police department actively cut the dash camera, and muted the audio, staged the vehicle. We have pictures of the vehicle staged. The vehicle looked one thing after impact, and it looked completely different inside the police department. They cut and staged this vehicle. Why are they cutting the dash camera? Because at one point, you see Mustafa is having a reaction. That his tongue, his mouth is open and began to open more when he realized he's in a position when he loses control of that vehicle, that he has nowhere to go. He took a lane and realized it's the wrong lane. He can't get back into traffic. There's a medium right in front of him. He realized he's in the wrong lane. He began to panic. His mouth is open. His mouth began to open more. He sticks out his tongue and his cheeks. The police department cut the camera. And they want to tell the community, doesn't have a reaction. Yeah, he does. His jaw open for you is not good enough. Him sticking out his tongue is not good enough. What do you want him to do? Throw his hands in the air? His job is to maintain and control the vehicle. He's panicking. But you cut the camera. And now we have proof that you manually cut this camera. The best is yet to come. I have so many files. And we're systematically working with certain individuals in the background. They are telling us what direction we should take, what files should be released, and they're actively supplying us with files. When the local government fail you, you ask for the federal government to come in and clean house. And we're going to put enough pressure on our federal government to make sure that these people are held accountable. On that note, we're going to end the podcast. We went over 3 hours. My goal always is to stay within an hour, but in a case as big as the Mustafa Al-Jazari case with so much details and so easily how you control the conversation. Apparently we can't go over under an hour, but we're going to keep trying. On that note, before we end the podcast, we're gearing up to have a mobile podcast in front of the Department of Justice in D.C. And what we're going to do, the Department of Justice is right next to the FBI building. They're right next to each other. And it's beautiful how it's set up, where you have a sidewalk, public property. You can put a table. We already did a trial one a while back. You can put a table, a couple of chairs, and actively do this in front of the DOJ. And that's going to put enough pressure on the federal government, hopefully, to do their job. We're asking them. We're not asking them to do anything. We're asking them to do their job. And, of course, we invite the wife of the investigator, who was on the phone while she was talking to Amy Hotchkiss. This is Christina Warda on the internet, 7. She's always on there identifying herself. She says, my name is Christina Al-Khuzai. No, ma'am. You're Amy Hotchkiss. We have you on a body cam. We ask you to be physically there. Let's not be keyboard warrior. The diddlers have been identified. We have your police body cams. We ask you to be there and have a conversation. We ask Kim Coleman, a.k.a. Nini. We ask Glenn Ford, who likes to be a keyboard warrior behind the computer. We ask you to show up. And let's not turn this conversation personal. Let's get to the bottom of what's going on. You said certain things on a body cam. The community, through this podcast, would like to ask you questions. We ask him to show up. We ask Kylie Clapp, who likes to hide behind, I'm a minor. No, you're not. You're not a minor. You're 16 at the time. Now you're 18. And fuck that bullshit. Even if you were a minor, you solicited to kill Mustafa. We have Glenn Ford on a recorded line. You're not a minor anymore when you're soliciting to kill somebody. You're not a minor anymore when you're framing somebody actively in a case being used by the state to actively frame somebody. When you specifically say, I never saw anything, but you're connected to individuals who hates Mustafa, who has a motive for you to lie about Mustafa. Last time we checked, you were 16 at the time, according to Glenn Ford himself. He said you were 16 when he woke up with you in his bed. That's 2 years ago. It's been 2 years, ma'am. Today you're 18. And because of your lies, Mustafa, the only person that took care of your brother and your mother, sits in solitary confinement. What do you think is going to happen to you by law, ma'am? Do you have anything to do with the vehicle and the accident? The police mechanics say someone tampered with the vehicle. There's brake failure. You're on an active line, on a recorded line, where Glenn Ford, you said you solicited to kill Mustafa. Was your mother and sister not supposed to be there? And you thought Mustafa was going to be in the vehicle? But oh my God, you had someone tamper with the vehicle? I mean, these are all good questions. Where is Kylie Clapp tampering with Mustafa's vehicle? I mean, she's on a recorded line. Where's the police department? I mean, why are we doing the job of a police department? Why do I have a girl out of Richmond put in a hat of an investigator to extract a recording out of Glenn Ford? This important. You have Glenn Ford admit on a recorded line that this girl solicited to kill Mustafa. This is the main witness into the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. She has a motive to lie about Mustafa. So you want to tell me that Mustafa sits in solitary confinement for 2 years in our effort to bring out what they're doing to him? They beat him inside the jail in the process?
He was in 32 at the time, right across from me. I just got done talking to my mom on the phone.
I mean, why did they beat Mustafa? Is it because we're talking about Investigator Drum and falsifying the police reports? Or is it that Billy is paying into the beat up of Mustafa so that way the truth doesn't come out? Why did Mustafa get beaten up? You got 6. What justify 6 giant correctional officer taking my brother out of that cell unconscious, handcuffed behind his back, unconscious, and they're still hitting him on the head and kicking him? What justified that? And then taking him somewhere else. He's half naked. They take him somewhere else, and then they strip him completely naked. And then they sexually assault him and deny him medical. And what do? They take pictures on their personal cell phone. Where are those pictures? Is it Sheriff Glenn Hill, sir?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Sheriff Glenn Hill. My question to you is it department practice to have your correctional officer take pictures of a naked inmate after he gets beaten up on their personal cell phone? Is that department practice? I mean, if it is, where are the pictures? They take out their personal cell phone and they take pictures after they beat and sexually assault Mustafa in the other cell. Where are those pictures, Sheriff Glenn Hill? Mustafa, from solitary confinement, is writing a 20-page lawsuit to continue his civil lawsuit against the jail for doing this to him into the discovery phase. And God help you, Sheriff Glenn Hill, when we get to the discovery phase. Do you know what the FBI and the federal government is going to do to you, sir? I mean, we have this CCTV video. 2 years ago, you told me nothing happened. And I'm here to tell you, fuck around, find out, sir. By law, I'm going to hold you accountable. By law, Sheriff Glenn Hill, you're going to be held accountable. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, on your watch, you use investigator that lied. Every police report is falsified. Judge Carol Weimer, you're under a microscope, sir. And we're talking about whether you are impartial. You have not been impartial, sir. And we come here every day and talk about it. On that note, I want to thank Stefano. I want to thank Michelle for putting up with a 3-hour podcast. I want to thank everybody here for being on this podcast. It's a lot of details. Thank you for being here. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope.